You're listening to episode 381 of the Major Issues Podcast, and on this episode, your favorite lovable losers from ComicBookClique talk about those disposable delinquents, the Thunderbolts. The Major Issues Podcast starts right now! Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I would never do this by myself. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
It's me, Alex Garcia, aka The Cog, ready to talk about Thunderbolts, or is it called something else now?
We're going through litigation for that right now. We're going to figure that out soon. But yeah, if we're talking a ragtag group of people, you know why we couldn't just do it with us two. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
Yo, it's your boy A-Rob, the Marvel God. How's everyone doing out there in comic book land?
A-Rob, we could not be doing a Marvel movie review without you. So thank you for joining us on this mission here. But come on, three's company. So four is a crowd, and we got a fun crowd here for this recap and review. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
Taskmaster, aka All-Star Asa.
Are you telling me you're leaving in about 10 minutes? Is that what? Is that,
I don't think it's my choice, though.
All-Star Asa is here, and we're here to talk Thunderbolts, the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This was a film that I remember when it got announced, everybody was like, what and why? Why is this happening? This doesn't make any sense. But I think a lot of us in our discussion about things to be excited for in this year, we kind of sussed that this might have been a sleeper hit. And yeah. I'm happy to see that at least amongst fans, the word of mouth seems to be very, very good. The best in quite some time. I hesitate with this constant best since Endgame sort of thing that gets said.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably the best since Deadpool Wolverine, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying it's not the best since Endgame. Like, hold on. Like, pause.
That's the thing, and I'll spend a very little bit of time on this because it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme, but there's still people that's trying to like tear down this film's success, even though it's seemingly doing well, and it's the MCU narrative is still something people are pushing around, and the MCU peaked at Endgame, which is another still floating around opinion. So while people are trying to bury this film, I truly think it's going to see legs, especially with its new sort of branding, which we'll talk about in a bit. But we got a lot to talk about. We got a full recap and review of this film. But I know that there's still people who haven't seen it yet. So before we get into all the spoilers, I'm going to give you gentlemen some time to explain what you liked about this film and whether or not you recommend it. And we're going to start with you, The Cog. Well, tell me about your viewing experience watching this, your expectations, and what you thought when you left the theater.
Oh, I honestly had mediocre expectations for this movie because I saw this movie as, this is just setup. This is just massive amounts of setup. The team was of characters that we've not really seen a lot of, especially in the movies, and even in movies that were on the big screen, because most like Black Widow, which I think does not get the love it deserves, was a streaming movie, really, right? It was released during COVID on Disney Plus. Falcon Winter Soldier, a lot happened in that for these characters. A lot of people, including myself, don't really remember much about Ghost, right?
Yeah.
And who am I? I feel like Sentry, a weird character to introduce in this movie.
Right.
So this on paper to me did not have a lot going for itself. But as the trailers came out, as of course you believe in such great actors like this guy, David Harbour, I mean, killed it in this movie. I found myself just loving this movie as I watched it. And I highly recommend it. I think it's such a pivotal and important movie now in the MCU and everything that's going forward. You have to see it, and I better see it on the
Yeah.
big screen.
Awesome, awesome. A-Rob, you're the Marvel God. You were here with me last time also when we covered Falcon Winter Soldier. What do you think of Thunderbolts?
I thought this was a great movie. For lack of better words, it was a great sequel to everything that was just named. Like, Ant-Man and Wasp, Falcon Winter Soldier, Black Widow, slept on movie, great movie. Like, this was a great sequel and continuation for a lot of these characters. And like when it was first announced back in 2023 for the original slate of 2024, 2025, when Kang Dynasty was a thing still, like I was like, Thunderbolts. Okay, that makes sense. There's no Avengers, so but what are they gonna do? So I went into this movie with like medium to high expectations because like I'm like a kid during Christmas, like with Marvel movie announcements, like, oh, I want this person to be in this. They should put this person in this. Like, how is this gonna, like, this is how it should go down. But like they really focused on the characters, and that's what really made this movie hit. Like if you follow some of these characters from past projects, you would know like they have a lot of baggage, especially Bucky. And
Yeah.
like they really fleshed it out in Falcon Winter Soldier. And in this, they really fleshed it out for a lot of these characters, dealing with what they dealt with in the past and how they deal with it now, and how it's not really defining them, but they can choose to be better than what they used to be or what they think of themselves.
Right.
But like, but Cox said, highly recommended. You should definitely go watch this in movies or in IMAX. Sorry. Go watch this in movies in IMAX. Like, highly recommended. And Sentry, oh my goodness. I
We'll
just,
get-
we get into it more, but
Yeah,
I
we'll
wish
get
they did
into it.
more with them.
Yeah,
I wish they did a
yeah.
little bit more.
I think there's still time. I think there's still time, and that might even be a spoiler in and of itself. But we're going to pass it now to you, All-Star Asa, Thunderbolts. There's a whole bunch of movies coming out this year. You went out and saw this one. How does it stack?
I enjoyed it. I think everyone has gone through stuff, due to mental health things, and I think this was a very prolific because it really covered that all across the board in a lot of ways. Made me feel, made me happy, made me sad. All in all, it was very good. I thought the casting when they announced it was a little like, oh, okay, but it's fine. But I will say, at its heart, it may be. I hate to be the one person that always does this. It may have fallen into my top five, honestly and truthfully.
Yeah.
Once you
Nice.
get past fan service,
Yeah. Yeah. So you recommend people go check it out?
100%. Go check it out twice.
There you go. There you go. I'm the last one here, so I guess I'm gonna have the dissenting opinion. No, I'm joking. This was amazing. I really like. I really,
What? I'm logging out. I'm logging
Yeah,
out.
all right, man.
I really dug this. I had high expectations, and it exceeded it in different ways. I will go on to say that I'm at a point now. We are closing into 10 years here. As far as ComicBookClique, we are about 8 years of doing the podcast. So it's very hard for me not to be like mentally taking notes and mentally like in a different space when I'm watching this kind of stuff, because I'm trying to look out for stuff. I'm trying to hear everything. It's hard for me to get lost and immerse myself with just how much of this that we do all the time, every week. But there's a moment, we'll talk about it when we do spoilers, where not only they had me, but I became a baby in the theaters. I became an absolute child. And from that moment on, they basically held my hand and walked me wherever they wanted to go, whatever they wanted to do next. After that, I was already on board. It's the performances in this that really shine through. The action's fun, but the clips that are gonna go, get a million views when they come up on YouTube are gonna be the emotional beats of this movie, more than anything else. I also have this is a hook for those who haven't seen the film but want to come back and listen to the podcast. I have like a incredibly tinfoil hat theory about this film, and the emotions that it puts you through, and maybe it all being some sort of genius, 5D chess sort of campaign there. But as somebody who, as All Star Ace has said, has gone through some of this stuff, I want to echo what you guys also said. This is an important film. This is a film that, like, there was a time where I was so starved for interconnectivity in the MCU and just not getting it, and just getting kind of confused with why are we putting more toys on the desk when we don't even know where they all go, kind of situation. But like I said, again, there's a moment in this where I just was watching this as its own movie, as its own, in the bubble of this world, just dealing with these characters. Time stopped in the rest of the MCU, and I got to just enjoy this. And that's a rare occasion, because when you're watching bad MCU, you're like, when is someone important going to show up? When are they going to name drop something? When are they going to reveal this secret already? And I never found myself looking at my phone or checking the runtime or any of that kind of stuff when I saw this, which I always say is a tremendous, recommendation. So yeah, I think people should go see this in films. We got to talk a little bit about the fact that they have been, this entire film has seemingly been branded New Avengers. I don't know what that goes for the title moving forward. I saw us on some marquees. They had Thunderbolts are the New Avengers on the marquees instead of just Thunderbolts now. I don't know if you guys remember, but they changed the name of Harley Quinn when it was in theaters. At first, it was Harley Quinn, the Birds of Prey, and the Fantabulous Emancipation, yada 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 yada. Harley Quinn, and then it became, what was it? Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, yeah.
Yeah. So this happens sometimes. While a lot of people perceive that this may be like a panic button kind of situation, I think, again, that it has to do with some of the marketing that they're trying to push moving forward from or towards Doomsday. And I don't see it as a desperation thing. If anything, they were desperate to keep the secret. It felt like they were desperate to just talk about what happens in the post credit to move the rest of this forward. But yeah, the future looks bright. And it finally feels like we're moving forward at a time where it kind of felt like we were on a treadmill. And I'm glad that we're moving in any kind of direction. So just up front, Thunderbolts is a 2025 American superhero film based on Marvel Comics characters, and also featuring the team The Thunderbolts, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It's the 36th film.
God damn.
36 films. I turned 35 in a week. I could watch one. There's been one film for every year of my birth. That's bonkers. So the film was directed by Jake Shearer from a screenplay by Eric Pearson and Joanna Kahlo, and stars the ensemble cast featuring Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, Olga Kurylenko, Louis Pullman, and more, Julie Dreyfus, David Harbour, Hannah John Kyman. In the film, a group of antiheroes are caught in a deadly trap and forced to work together on a dangerous mission. It is the 8th highest grossing film of 2025 so far, and has crossed over 165.5 million on a $180 million budget. I again just think that it's just going to do better because they seemingly have re-released it as a different title. Yeah. So it's like so if you didn't want to watch Thunderbolts, maybe you want to watch the New Avengers, and that could be a thing.
They're just trying to beat sinners.
Yeah. But I just want to get all up in this film. Are you guys ready to go? Full spoilers. Spoiler warning to those out there. Let's get with it.
That's right. Let's go. Thunderbolts strike.
Yeah, ready or not, you've been more than fair.
Yes. All right. Spoilers moving forward, people. And if you haven't seen, like I said, go out and check it out. But our story opens with the familiar Marvel Studios fanfare, but instead of cinematic moments from the MCU, this time the logo was composed of comic panels. The entire sequence is then swallowed in darkness, and Marvel Studios appears draped in black. I was like, as soon as I saw comic panels in this, I was like, this is like emerging, because I never thought they should have gotten away from the book flipping OG Marvel stuff that they came up with before. And I get why the MCU would come up with their own thing, but like this felt like a combination of both those things in a cool way. It's one
And
thing to like celebrate everywhere we've come in the MCU. That's fine, but like let's celebrate how long these characters have been around and how long
right.
there are different iterations in the comics. But yeah, for a comic OG, what'd you think of that opening?
Well, for one, just to see the panels again was amazing. It's something we haven't seen that in a while. But also, I was just happy to see it make its comeback because in the last Captain America movie, we didn't have it at all.
No.
So I was like, did the production studio on that movie just missed like they forgot? Like what happened?
Mm-hmm.
For them to bring it back with this one. But this one, it made me I didn't realize I missed it in Captain America until we talked about it. So then seeing it here, it felt like coming home again. Like, oh, this. And like you said,
Yes.
seeing panels. Oh, me, I love comics. So to see the actual comics get their time to shine, and then how the movie quickly just is like, okay, comic panels and darkness. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
By the way,
What
the
are you
party's
what
over.
are you telling us? Oh yeah, what are you about to tell us?
Yeah.
So I love how that off the bat just set the tone for, hey, here's something to pay attention to.
Yeah. What about you, A-Rob?
Oh no, I thought this. I was like, oh, this is gonna get bleak just from the trailers alone, and him just deleting. Spoiler alert! Him just deleting people. And we're gonna get into that because, like, the MCU has a real problem with nerfing some of these heroes, watering them down, or the villains, watering them down. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
the opening was great. It really set the tone for how this movie was gonna be. Like, it was gonna be playful. It was gonna be sad. It was gonna be happy. You're gonna feel some type of way watching this, and it's gonna be a good some type of way because this is gonna be a great movie. It's gonna be a great ride. I was like, okay. Because like you said, like we didn't get it in the last movie, so like I'm glad they changed it up and made it different for this one.
Yeah. Asa, what do you think about this fanfare? Do you think they should keep it like this, or you think this was like a one shot for the Thunderbolts film?
I think they use it to tell a good story, and I think just seeing the all-consuming darkness foreshadowed the entire movie in a way that I did not expect, especially as an opening, as the Marvel cinematic opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was terrifying. I think the next, I don't know how Fantastic Four will compete with that. I'm sure they'll find a way, but I'm not.
Oh, it's gonna be
I'd like to know how.
It's gonna be like the first flip book ever or whatever. The first.
Yeah.
So we begin with Agra, Yelena, who confesses that something feels off inside her. She's become numb to the violence of her work as a contract killer, and she started questioning whether there's more to her and to life than this existence. As she narrates, we see her infiltrate a high security facility, taking down armed guards with ease. She's been sent on a mission by Valentina, now the director of the CIA, who's under investigation for her ties to the shady biotech company Ox. With her career on the line, Valentina has dispatched Yelena to destroy an Ox facility in Malaysia and eliminate any incriminating evidence. After overcoming some facial recognition issues, Yelena rescues a guinea pig and detonates the facility. Mission complete. But she's still left a bit hollow. Something's for sure, and that is something is missing. Asa, I'm going to start off with you. What do you think about this opening scene? Seeing Yelena jump off that big ass building. This
I thought it
impromptu
was cool.
therapy session.
Oh yeah. I liked how she you get the opening speech, the opening narration where she's like, I'm just depressed. There's just this void, which is definitely it's still foreshadowing after the immediate title window. But then you see she's talking to some guy she's kind of holding hostage.
Yeah,
That was such a funny spin on that. And then I appreciated saving was it a guinea pig?
yeah.
I also during the fight with the scientist that comes in, how his bright idea was to shoot her through his own head, which is a very anticlimactic ending for him.
Yes. But yeah, chock full of comedy here. Real fun comedic moments, and it shows kind of how we'll be able to balance between. I mean, she's talking about some serious existential stuff, and then checking on a gerbil or a guinea pig or stuff. Hey, Rob, what do you think of this scene?
I thought it was a great balance of just comedy and not dread, but sadness. Because like I too have struggled with mental health, like
Mm-hmm.
and seeing it, it's like I can relate to that. I get where she's coming from, and using comedy not as a mask, but as a way of therapy for oneself. I see why people like love Yelena's character so much, and like in the action beats, the comedy. Did anyone else notice like throughout this whole movie, it was like black grayscaled, and then when then the end happened, it all turned normal.
It did
Like I
feel like
think
it
that
got a
was
little bit
like
richer in color, a little bit, yeah.
like I think throughout this whole movie, we were looking through the guys or like the lens of Yelena's perspective, like how she sees the world. And then at the end, it got a little brighter because we all need friends. We all need to talk to someone. We all don't need to be alone. We all need somebody.
That's
And I'm
interesting.
glad that she learned that throughout this movie.
That's interesting. That's interesting. What'd you take away from this scene, Cog?
Oh, so much. I mean, did you guys? There's a great little behind the scenes for that opening sequence on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I thought that was phenomenal the way they did that. I mean,
The
for
jump.
her to actually be on that building and doing, even if
Right.
it's just the first like 10 feet of that jump, most people can't stand on the edge of that building and walk off of it and be like, yeah, this rope is going to catch me, because that's the second tallest building in the entire world. But
Yeah.
the fact that that whole sequence was practical, was real, just showed how much the director cared about making this movie. You could have easily just been like, yo, this is going to be all digital. And then something's just, our eyes, we can see past the uncanny valley.
Mhm.
So if they had just digitized that entire scene, it just wouldn't have hit as hard, right? It really made me think
Mhm.
like these people must be taking notes from Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible movies, where it's like, no, we want to do this for real. We want to add that gravitas to it. We want you to feel this. And then the way she presents her exposition, which is explaining her current mind state, was great, because something a lot of people forgot, like even I forgot, was like, oh, she was dusted.
Yes, she was.
She was dusted.
Mhm.
She lost her sister. Her whole life is basically fake.
Yeah.
So for someone to be feeling the way she's feeling, it's kind of like, yeah, you have every right to feel this way. And then you're going to walk off the second tallest building on the planet and basically question what you're doing with yourself. Like, okay, here I am. I'm killing people. I'm accomplishing these missions, but what is this for? And you're sitting there going, yeah, what is this for?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Mm.
So the way this movie, everything about the way this movie started just hooked me, and it just sucked me in, and it just made me feel for her. And I was just like, wow, I'm already feeling this way about this character. Wait till we get into the rest of these characters.
Yeah.
Great start. Great start to this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Facts.
you said it. I mean, we talk a lot about how this film talks about depression and mental health, and what are that's what that entire first scene invokes, right? That plummet, that depth, and how that can feel, and how that can feel like the only escape at some points from whatever you're going through at the time. They'll be saying it a lot. Once we get back to like Alexi and stuff, but they make a lot of allusions to Yelena having a light or being a light, whether there's a light inside of her or whether she was able to light up a room when she was on the soccer team and all that other kind of stuff. And when we get to the parts with Bob later on and it's in the darkness, especially when she's talking to him in the room, you'll see light kind of shining more and more through the back window, the little bedroom window there. They're playing around a lot with these light and darkness. And I wrote up a bit of a controversial article right now over at ComicBookClique.com, cheap plug. But it's this idea that I find that a lot of the current Marvel fans, current MCU fans, find themselves a bigger fan of Yelena as the Black Widow than they did as Natasha. And I think it's because the things that I know about Natasha from the comics, I'm seeing Yelena kind of portray, as far as like this duplicitous nature. We heard about Natasha's backstory, but we've seen Yelena's, right? Like we see like I bring up that when we first meet her in Black Widow, she's like gutting an innocent woman or a good woman, someone who's trying to stop the indoctrinated widows. And it's not until she gets undoctrinated that she becomes on the good side. Before then, she was a trained killer. She immediately tries to kill her sister as soon as they see one another. So like, I feel like I know Yelena in a way I didn't know Nat until her movie. And by the time her movie came up, one could say it was split between her and Yelena. So
Yeah.
now, but also by the time that film comes out, then she's dead.
Yeah, right.
So, that sort of ends that. But like the accent, which is something that Natasha never did, which I always felt like Black Widow would have or did have, or that there was something along those lines, like one of those kind of Boris and Natasha kind of Russian spies kind of deals. So I dig what she's able to do with that, because there's a little bit of that in like, you're not even listening, when she's doing her therapy session with this guy, joking around again about the black humor around like, she's about to blow up this entire building. Like she's doing something incredibly illegal and incredibly blackouts, but so this is a Tuesday for her, to bring up,
Literally
Street Fighter. Yeah. Yeah, completely dug all that. I'm surprised. I don't remember what the resolution was when she found out that she was sent to kill Clint, and he didn't do it. She just went back to working for Valentina. Because Valentina's the one who sicked her on Hawkeye, right?
Yeah, she was like upset that it happened, but she told her like, she eat shit, Valentina. Like she knows like she can't trust her, but like she has nothing else going on in her life, so she might as well
take the job,
work for the U.S. government. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Was the Hawkeye so much a job as it was a hey, you should take this other guy off the board because that's just one more Avenger off the board, like playing the long game from Valentina's standpoint.
Well, I also vaguely remember this was from Fisk as well, wasn't it? Didn't it have to do with Fisk or something? Or am I misremembering all that? I feel like
I think Hawkeye was just scared of Fisk because he knew Fisk, but I think I thought Valentina was at the. I don't know. I don't remember Black Widow that well, if I'm being honest.
Valentina is the one who shows Yelena that, like, this is the man who killed your sister. But I vaguely remember her getting that bad tip, possibly from Kingpin or whatever, like tracksuit stuff, to get him off of the trail or off of the. Because remember they text who put out the hit, who did call the assassin, or it was Valentina. It's a whole thing with her.
Oh, I thought the hit was Kate Bishop's mom.
Yeah. Because of Fisk, right? Because she was doing the Fisk stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt like that was all weirdly.
About to rewatch Hawkeye.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, this woman's up to no good. I'm glad that she's doing more in this, because she kind of was a little bit. We saw her a little bit in Wakanda Forever and stuff. But I'm glad that we get to see her do more in this. I think she's great. That investigation into Valentina's conduct takes center stage in the next scene. On Capitol Hill, with Senator Bucky Barnes in the audience, she denies any wrongdoing, distancing herself from Ox, and dismissing accusations of illegal human experimentation to create a superhero. Pressed further, Val doubles down, claiming that with the Avengers gone, the government must step up to protect its citizens, and that's exactly what she's doing. She insists that she has nothing to hide and welcomes the investigation, confident that it will come up empty. But after her testimony, she privately orders her assistant Mel to ensure all of Ox's questionable material be destroyed. Yelena isn't the only operative she sent into the field, but she is the only one who hasn't checked in after completing her mission, which sets off some alarms for Val. What do you guys think of this political part of this whole situation? I'm gonna start with you, A-Rob.
I was like, politicians, but this is literally the clean house, clean sweep, like clean it all, burn it all, like go, like what has this not been done in U.S. politics? Like, but like this is what happens. This is real, I guess. But like, it was really funny though, and I'm like, this is right up her alley. I was really hoping they would lean more into the Madam Hydra with her, because like in the comics, she is Madam Hydra. Yeah. I wish they revealed that this bitch is Hydra. Because why else is she like this? There's no way she is just like this.
Right. No, that would be interesting. What do you think about her claim of like, with the Avengers gone, like we got to do something. We got to have some sort of.
That still is valid. Like it's like the whole Superman thing. When you introduce something so good, so nice, so powerful, and then you take it away, you can't just go back to normal. Like, you need something there now. Like, it's impossible to go back to normal. Look what y'all did. Look what y'all accomplished. We need that. We need the safeguard road. We need a shield. We need a sword. We need a saber station. Like, we need it all. We need an Avengers team. The world isn't right without an Avengers team. Plain and simple.
I could dig that. Cog, she brings up. What do you think about this scene, and what do you think about the idea that she brings up the fact that other countries are having their own, like they're all doing their own sort of super soldier,
No, I mean,
or yeah, they like a
yeah,
superhero arms race going on.
no, and that's exactly what I believe would be happening. And I mean, this world has already introduced that idea because we got Red Guardian, right? We got Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
So, and then, even in Captain America: Brave New World, they're all fighting over adamantium, right? They're fighting over the rights to mine the Celestials. So she's just taking the proactive approach. She's just approaching it from, hey, look, I want to be at the forefront of this, right? The world needs an Avengers. America needs an Avengers, right? Because who knows what else everyone else is building out there. Rob hit it on the head that it's all this political game. And what's her stake in it? We do get a taste of that later on in the movie, and I liked that they gave her that. And I mean, she's essentially, Nick Fury / kind of the Norman Osborn when he was the director of Hammer, so to speak. Just taking that approach of we just got to get out in front of this. So it makes perfect sense that they're doing this. And of course, I don't know, I felt like it was a little wink to current politics, how we like it when it's under the United States' control, so to speak, or the government's control. But the moment it becomes not under their control or something that they don't know totally about, then they try to fish it out or disregard it or make it legal, so to speak. So I was like, oh, this is, I see what I felt like. That was a little bit what was going on there with that. But she sells it well. And I enjoyed this because this is this MCU has been setting up these ideas, so it fit perfectly to me.
Yeah, one of the things I forgot to touch on was that this is, the height of political power that she has, besides being a director of the CIA, is also enlarged by the fact that General Ross has been removed as the president of the United States following the events of Captain America: Brave New World. Asa, I know you go to watch these films for escapism and end up in a political courtroom talking about abuse of power and building armies. What did you think of this scene? And what parts of real life you think they're playing with here?
Well, they're definitely toggling current political climates is probably the best, nipple twisting current political things to kind of let us all know. There's a lot of that. Valentina felt very reminiscent to Tony Stark. And like the fact that she kind of made it funny, she kind of carried the room. You can go ahead and investigate me all you want or whatever. But at the end of the day, I guess she was kind of hiding stuff. So like it wasn't as she just kind of played the part as well as he did in controlling the narrative that she was given. There was one I did like how they didn't mention him becoming the Hulk just as a big red monster.
Yeah,
I thought that was a fun play. I don't know if there was like contractual stuff there that you can't mention, like the Red Hulk, or I thought that was also it's cool. It's crazy that we know that he was impeached.
Yeah,
he was impeached or removed from office. So now who's our president?
Right, and to know that she's even biting at the ankles of that on that ladder is like scary.
So are we to the alien killing president? Are we to the Hulk president? Who's God?
I forgot about that alien. I think they're literally trying to wipe a secret.
No, they are. It's
secret. What was it? Invasion off the map. Because I don't know if you remember, but that film ends with him declaring war on any aliens on the planet.
Yes,
that's how that thing.
Any off-worlders, right?
Any off-worlders. And last I checked, I don't know. I guess his birth certificate is still around, but Star-Lord is still here. He came back from off-world. He's hanging out back in Missouri or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked that she just at one point is like, I'm just not going to entertain these accusations. Like, well, you're in a court of law. Like, you can't just say I will not deal with these accusations. And I like that they show that even though she's cold and calculated, she is still nervous. She's not, infallible. And, she is steps ahead, quite literally, by destroying all these ox bases, but she's not like a 10-step ahead mastermind that, can see all these things. I do like that she does have flaws in that nature, and we get introduced into Mel here, and she's very personable as we continue on this story. But highlight of the film, we catch up with Yelena, and she goes and visits her father. Are we all comfortable with that term?
Yeah.
That's a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Just making
she was
sure,
an
'cause
orphan.
I was
Like,
thinking about it. Yeah, because I was thinking about it. Like, it is the guy who like signed her up for. I mean, he didn't sign. I guess she got taken and assigned to him. She was already
yeah.
going to the Red Room, right? He didn't like sign her up for the Red Room.
No.
Wasn't
no,
she
yeah,
already in the Red Room?
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah, that's what I'm
hadn't
saying.
she
Like
already?
she
Yeah.
got assigned to him as a family.
Mhm.
Him and Natasha and Melina
Right.
But
as a fake family.
didn't they
Right.
say in the Black Widow that they weren't they like a family for like 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
before like during like the probably the best parts of development she can say she called him dad. I'm sure part of it stuck.
That's the
Right.
most father she's probably ever had. If the,
Right.
you know, unless she wants to call Dracoff dad, and I don't think anybody wants to do that.
Well, no one
That
can
guy,
anymore.
that guy was, oh, no one can anymore. Yeah, he is quite crispy. But yeah, we catch up with Alexei. And he lives on the Baltimore DC border. He swears it's not Baltimore, it's still DC.
Baltimore is 1 block that way.
Yeah. She tries to open up about the darkness creeping in while working for Val, but Alexei only sees it as an opportunity to get back in the game and reclaim his glory, if she can put in a good word for him. When Yelena asks if there's more to life, Alexei admits that he never felt more alive than when he was helping people as a hero. He says Natasha knew that feeling too, but Yelena brushes him off and calls up Val. What I liked about this is, well, first of all, I just like David Harbour as Alexei. I think similarly, like he was in Black Widow, he is the comic relief, and I am laughing at him, but it's not maliciously. Everything that he does is like with his full heart out. Like there's no.
Right.
I understand that he was a spy at one point, but he'd be a terrible spy now because he wears everything on his sleeve, and he just like unapologetically sometimes honest, and he cares. He does care about Yelena. He does care about this proto family that he had at one point. But we talk a lot about. We're going to talk a lot about with these other characters, like how their fall from grace or, them being discarded. But like, you can't talk about being discarded more than talk about Red Guardian, man. Like this government used him up and spit him out, literally left him in the.
It's like there is like zero love for super soldiers. Like between Steve getting it, being shelved off to be a street monkey or like a performer dude, like for the USO shows. Bucky being brainwashed, Red Guardian being tossed into prison.
Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah Bradley, like, bruh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep.
Why?
They give these mascots the power of a god, and then they toss them to the side. It's very strange. But he seems to be chilling. I guess he's forever waiting for the call. You guys get that sort of idea? What do you think,
A little
Todd?
bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I felt for him immediately. Just like Rob was saying, these guys get discarded, right? This guy was left in prison. All he wanted to do was serve his country. And at the time that he was serving his country, as most soldiers believe, they're serving their country. They're on the side. They're on the right side, right?
Yeah.
This man was the Russian super soldier. Are we right? Are we on the right side of the story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now we're fast forwarding. This guy is a soldier without a mission. His mission has completely fallen apart. He's got no family. He's got no one. He's got this limo service going. And like you said, he's just waiting for that call. And the Yelena shows up, and you immediately see that, wow, okay, do you still miss the mission, or do you just miss having a family? Right,
Yeah.
because he still has the photos up and everything like that. So and he's still so quick to still be a dad to her, which I found that incredibly endearing. The way he talked about, you have this light in you, and there's no better service than for you to serve and help people and do things for people. I was like, wow, okay, this guy isn't just some brainwashed communist. He was someone who was taught to be a hero. And he's wanting to still be that hero and also inspire others. So this whole scene, again, this movie just kept sucking me in. Yeah. And he just sells it well. And the way you talked about that he's comic relief, I never saw him as comic relief. I saw him as someone you kind of laugh with. Maybe
that's what I'm saying. Like, none of it's malicious. Like, none of it. Like, I'm not like, look at this goof. But it's like he had me dying the whole film.
Yeah,
he had me absolutely dying. Even in this, where he's like, I will report you to DoorDash HQ if you.
Your insubordination will be noted.
I typed leave that door, like just that. And he's constantly yelling also. Like this guy is always yelling at the top of his lungs.
He's not listen. That dads don't yell.
No,
Yeah, it's just energy. That's dad energy.
It's just the way we speak, man, because it's the only way people listen.
To your point, though, I believe that like it's almost like both things can be true. I believe that because he kind of says two different things at the same time, right? At one point, he says the point of life or whatever is like fame and money, right? Whatever, right? Like fame and fortune, that you make a lot of money and you could buy your friends or whatever the hell. And then she's like, yeah, good talk, dad, or whatever. And then he turns it to he never felt more alive than when he was helping people. And I think it's a little bit of both. I think he wants the call from Val for the fame and fortune, but ends up with the good feeling of just helping people by joining the Thunderbolts. Ultimately,
very full, very
filled. Yeah. Asa, your dad. What did this rank on the dad meter? How effective was Alexi in this?
Well, I mean, I got my mustache back for Lexi. I know this was a kind of it was a funny, sad scene. Like you see him completely alone in his apartment, which is not well taken care of, and like just ordering food, and his daughter comes in and he turns off him reliving his glory days.
Yeah,
like,
man.
And then like he gives her the whole, a lot of money will help, whatever.
He brushes his teeth with dishwashing soap.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Listen, I've been desperate. I've never been that desperate to get. I'll just wait. It's fine. Hey, just take a
get the taste of vodka, of 3-day-old vodka out of his mouth.
It was really sad to see like how far he's fallen. But then immediately when she showed up, kind of like he talks about throughout the movie, like her showing up literally gave him a whole new, like just renowned his whole new, the light was back. All jokes aside, but it was really fun. But also he's a really fun character just to kind of see him. Just everything's an exclamation.
Yeah, that's why I said everything he's on 10. He broke the scale. Hey, Rob, were you surprised that they hadn't met in a year?
You said what?
Were you surprised that they hadn't seen one another in a year?
Yeah, actually I was, because I was like, yo, after the events of that, she really just threw herself into work and he didn't contact her like at all.
There's a missing chunk of time though, right? Because they were supposed to be like rehabbing widows together or something like that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But like overall, like this was a really fun scene. And just the character alone David Harbour has been killing it with this character. Just from the press and marketing alone, him coming to the CDC in full uniform and everyone else is dressed regular. He's like, come on, guys, like what happened? And pulling up to the movie premiere in the limo, speeding up to the premiere. Like this character, it's like you guys said, like I don't laugh at him. I laugh with him. Like he's great. Like I love Red Guardian. Like I'm here for the Red Guardian. I'm here for the Russian super soldier, and down with the proletariat, and vodka and dancing bears on unicycles.
Yeah, he's definitely the most boisterous, and I guess we haven't had a character like that. We see him like written in comics all the time, and we have even seen it like in some animation where Thor or Aquaman would be written to be big ass or whatever. Right. But I've never actually like seen it here. It's really, really good. So Yelena confirms she's still in for the mission, talking to Val, but she's ready for a change, maybe something more public facing instead of her usual shadowy Black Ops roles. Val agrees to consider it and briefs her for one final assignment. Someone is trying to steal something from a covert Ox facility, and Val needs Yelena to intercept and neutralize the thief. When Yelena arrives at the facility, she spots Ava Starr, aka Ghost, phasing her way inside. Yelena follows, only to be ambushed by John Walker, aka the U.S. agent who claims his mission is to take her down. Amidst their fight, Taskmaster appears, stating that she's not there for Yelena. A chaotic battle ensues. Taskmaster clashes with Ghost while Yelena takes on Walker, but a well-placed bullet suddenly drops Taskmaster for good. Before Yelena can process the loss, footsteps echo in the corridor. A man in a hospital scrubs approaches and casually introduces himself. Hi, I'm Bob. Asa, what a scene and what a this changes the whole movie in a lot of ways.
That's-
We seemingly lost the Thunderbolt and gained the Thunderbolt in one moment. But talk to me about your experience watching this scene in theaters.
Oh, well, it was really fun. The choreography was really, really good.
Yeah.
I like them actually utilizing Ghost in a very, I mean, it seemed like she was very well done. Whereas in Ant-Man 2,
Yeah.
she felt very broken, but seeing it fully controlled, everything, all of her powers, that was pretty cool. Especially how she utilized it to fight. Like there's the one part where Yelena has her pinned, like fight's over, and then she just phases and is up, and like how do you stop that?
Yeah.
Also watching how aggressive John Walker fought.
He was going for the kill.
Yeah, like
Definitely going for the kill.
literally every move was a kill shot. Like it's very reminiscent to or it's very anti-reminiscent of what Steve Rogers always was, which I guess kind of makes sense. But I also appreciate how everyone just constantly roasted that dude. At every point they could make fun of John Walker, they made fun of John Walker.
Yeah. What did you think of? I mean, the worst kept secret, guys. The Taskmaster's gone. Like I feel like everyone kind of called that.
I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case.
Yeah.
When they did, I mean, I just feel bad for the actress.
Yeah.
You know, to sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to be in this movie, and then getting that script and going, oh, I make it to page 3.
Right.
You know, like what? How did they get to that? I mean, I understand that. I guess the writers wanted to add seriousness to this movie to show, oh, anything could happen, right? This is like Marvel's Suicide Squad. Any of these characters could die, but never once after they killed her did I feel like any of these other characters were gonna die. That's the only thing I didn't like about it. So then it became like, well, what's the point? Like I was totally for the idea of them, of course, eliminating somebody, and of course, when you look at all of them, that's the weak one, so to speak.
Right.
But I would have much preferred to see it happen later.
Yeah, same. I was hoping it would happen later.
Yeah.
Like literally, I think we called it. I think I called it. Like I'm like, yeah, no, Taskmaster's gonna die. But I was hoping like the Sentry was gonna kill her. But like but to kill her like on the 5th page of the script, like god damn, like Jesus. They didn't give her no screen time because she was in the fight scene. She had some moves with the shield, like blocking the shots, flipping it off the ground. I'm like, yo, Sam, take notes real quick.
Yeah, it was the matter-of-fact nature of how she died that shocked me the most. Just that bullet, and it was it. It wasn't like no slow motion.
Right.
Me and
my fiance looked at each other like, that's not bulletproof for Masters and Bulletproof?
Yeah.
What?
Damn, Soviet tech. It's messing up.
Yeah, right.
She ain't got the Red Room no more. She made that one herself. Things are getting hard.
But in general, like that fight scene was a lot of fun to watch. I also felt like, Yelena's outclassed here, right? You got everybody else in the room. Everybody else in the room has powers, and she's like, "I got electric sticks," like, oh, hide behind a box. Okay,
that's the thing. They allowed her to get worked in this scene. Like they allowed her to take an ass whooping, which not only like shows the threat that John Walker is in this scene, but it also shows like her vulnerability, which makes you care about the character more, because if it felt like she could just get out of anything, you just shrug in this moment. Right. As far as Taskmaster goes, the funny thing is, like you were just saying, like it's gotta suck to like be in it for 3 days or whatever. It's gotta suck even more as they go on this now tour of ripping off Thunderbolts to reveal new Avengers, and everyone claps because they're on the new Avengers team, and you were never on the team, and you never got to hang out with the team.
I did feel for the actress of that one.
You just die straight up. So that's a lot there.
I did see some of the writers, an interview with some of the writers and the director and everything. And one of the first iterations of the script, Taskmaster makes it past that point, and then randomly, for whatever happened, and she randomly forgets that she's not supposed to kill John Walker, so she keeps trying to kill him randomly throughout the movie.
Right.
And like, which I think is might have been funnier if you just kept trying to kill him as the movie goes on, just because.
No, I mean, right. You run that joke a couple times, and then maybe against Sentry, she's one of the ones that actually dies.
Yeah.
And then you kind of feel for it. But I guess they felt like, nah.
Well, with the Sentry stuff, I think you guys are valid 100%. I thought that that's exactly what was going to happen. There's a time where people were looking up, it felt more in horror than what was shown in the film. And I think a lot of people thought that at that time what they were looking up was Sentry, ripping somebody in half. He's known to do it.
Ares, Carnage.
He's known to do it in the comics. People expected that. And we also, because people are, they analyze trailers and stuff like that. She stopped showing up in a lot of the shots after a while in the trailer. So people were like,
and then the Doomsday cast reveal just confirmed it.
Yeah, it's like everyone but her. It's like all the members of the Thunderbolts were confirmed for Doomsday, but that actress. So, but you know what's funny? I think if there's any kind of creative about this film, is that it did try to have its cake and eat it too, in the sense that it did try to show how dangerous the Sentry can be, but with no permanent effects. No. And so, I think in a world in which he does rip her in half, maybe you might have a hard time convincing people that he should be on the new Avengers. Maybe. I don't know how tied people are to that character, but I feel like by making him more sympathetic than just a guy who on a whim ripped a woman in half, you kind of have a little bit of plausible deniability about Bob, and you're like, maybe he can join because he didn't murder anyone. But I think if he murdered someone, then I think it puts us in a little bit of a position there. But I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think we would have got like a Homelander kind of situation where everyone would have been like, oh, he's like Homelander, and that's probably not really. You probably want to keep MCU away from the boys for as much as you can. Yeah. No, I get that. Valentina expertly bankrolls a charity event in remembrance of the Battle of New York, and I'm sitting here like, we ain't over this yet. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, she's just trying to get money for all this. They got the scepter and all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously these are moments and stuff that should be in remembrance. But what I mean more so is the government is like, everyone keeps milking this thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I wonder, this is why I have this tinfoil hat theory, that a lot of what's going on in this film is like a microcosm of what's going on with the fan base. And I feel like there's a lot of fake, like a lot of people just want to go back to the old Avengers and let's keep talking about the Battle of New York and let's keep talking about Thanos and it's peaked at Endgame and these guys are a bunch of losers and all this stuff is stuff that's happening. Not only are these the conversations that are happening outside of the film, but they're actually happening inside the film. The Avengers are not coming back. What are we gonna do? I guess we're gonna need these guys. All this stuff, and I wonder how much of that is on purpose. Because if not, then they just backed up into all this kind of stuff of like prostituting the old images of the Battle of New York just to get people excited to spend their money. Because that's what that's what they're gonna want to do with us. So I thought that was funny too.
No, I mean, right. There's a lot of, I guess, tongue in cheek or kind of like winks to real world happening. So I do believe that makes sense to have it happen in this movie. And I do like the fact that at least that I forget the character's name, but the person investigating her is quick to say, "Oh, you're just trying to like cover your ass and make yourself look so good with this party right now. Mm-hmm. You're about to get it. She, oh no, what are you talking about? No, that's not what the point of this is. It's like, yes, it is.
Yeah, she's leaving a slime trail behind her, basically, as she walks around this place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's here that Bucky Barnes attempts to befriend Mel, hoping to gain insight into what Val's really up to. Mel seems friendly but loyal, then Bucky doesn't impress her. He simply hands her his card. Meanwhile, back at the facility, tensions rise. After a brief exchange, the truth comes out. All three operatives, U.S. Agent, Yelena, and Ghost, have been manipulated. Each was sent by Valentina to the same location with a different fabricated mission. The real objective: to lure in the last remaining mercenaries with knowledge of Ox's darkest secrets and incinerate them, along with the evidence. Back in D.C., Bucky tries to convince Congressman Gary to take action against Valentina, but Gary insists that any justice must come through the system. Bucky is visibly frustrated. The system, as far as he's concerned, is already broken. So let's chop that up into two different parts. Let's talk about Bucky Barnes in the Senate because it seems like my man is rubbing up against a lot of red tape and he is not liking it. Asa, what do you think about Bucky in this new role and trying to fit in this suit that may not fit him?
I think it's funny that it feels like he definitely doesn't fit into politics in general. Like he doesn't know he's not like suave. He doesn't seem politically savvy. He still feels like he's that spy.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, so even so much so that during the event, he's like, "Hey, come here, talk to me. Don't worry, we're not in camera shot. It's a dead area." And he's like, "Text me like a normal person."
Yeah, he's like, we don't gotta go black or
Yeah,
rogue
yeah.
or whatever you guys do.
Yeah, just read the packets. That we have good packets, and like it is funny to see like how clearly a hero is like, no, we got to axe, and he's like, no. It's actually it reminds me of a Daredevil.
Yeah.
In the sense of he's like where it's just like justice is blind and it's just not going fast enough. And before we know it, we're gonna have a President Wilson Fisk.
Yeah. Hey, one step at a time. One step at a time. Akag, what do you think about this whole with Bucky situation, him in the Senate?
Yeah.
Not fitting.
This is something that I've seen a lot of people complaining about. Like, yo, what is the deal with Bucky? Or they had him be a politician, and now he's going back to being a hero. Do they not know what they're doing with him? This is part of his story.
Yeah.
I totally like it. I like the idea of them taking this character, right? He kind of adopts the Accords in his own way, becomes a politician, realizes, okay, let me try this way. But now the world is pulling him out of that. And that's what happens in this movie where he realizes, look, this politician stuff ain't for me. It's not what I'm meant to do. And he realizes, as the movie progresses, I gotta be the hero again. I'm a man of action, like Ace is saying. I don't want to sit here and read. Like, I love the scene later on in the movie. He's trying to read the packets. It's just like this sucks.
Yeah.
This is not what I'm built for. I have an arm that can take out an aircraft carrier, but you want me to
Now
sit here
pages.
and flipping pages. And in the end, what does it do? The whole time I'm flipping pages, you got Valentina and her squad, doing whatever the hell they want to do. This ain't for me. So I really like what they've done with Bucky. And to me, this is part of the story of Bucky, him becoming the next Captain America. So I like this. I really enjoyed this.
Interesting. A-Rob, what do you think about Bucky in this role?
Yeah, no, same. It was from when we were introduced to Bucky from Captain America, the first Avenger to now. Like, this is all part of his story. This is all part of his arc, building up to something more for this character. Like, I can definitely see a version of him just in Secret Wars with him, Sam, and Steve just all holding their own versions of the shield and just going in. Like, him being a politician, it speaks volumes for the character as well, because he was a soldier, he was a spy, he was an assassin. Now he's going to try justice in a different way. It's not working no more, so he has to go back to find different means, to solve some of these problems. And it's all part of the character's arc, and it's all just fleshing him out to be more of a well-rounded person or a well-rounded character, in my eyes, at least.
Yeah. So for me, I agree with everything you guys say, and it almost feels like, and this is like, again, tinfoil hat theory, but like Senator Barnes is who I think Bucky thinks Steve would have wanted.
Yeah, probably.
You understand? Like I think after Falcon and Winter Soldier, he's like, okay, so I know what Steve wanted for Sam, right? He made that very clear when he gave him the shield. What do I do now? What would Steve do in this position if he wasn't going to be a vigilante? If he wasn't going to be, there is no super team to fight with or fight for. And I think that almost like Alexi, the introduction of the Thunderbolts gives Bucky a meaning, that he didn't have prior. I think that he is in, a trope that you see a lot in the MCU is like soldiers without a war, right? And he thought he could fight the war, in between the lines when it comes to politics, and it just, it just didn't figure out that way. And I think he knows though that Steve would have ultimately wanted him to do what he believed, and that's why he ultimately makes this decision that he does. And it's not a big like, oh, I have to let people down by not being a senator. He's like, come on, bro. What would like? Look at the situation at hand. There is only really one choice, and no one. Why would anyone be mad at me because of that? But I also like this whole. I like the callous nature in which Valentina's gonna nuke these people. I like that she has it like on a tablet, and she's all like, "Yeah, just press the button," And I like, yeah,
Like no, when Mel approaches her, like, oh, everybody's in play, and she's just staring at her like,
yeah. Yeah,
like I'm not a James Bond. I'm not a James Bond villain here where I'm gonna like push the goddamn button.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, literally, like if she's switching on night mode, like just hit the switch, kill those 4 people and everybody that's else in there, all my evidence and stuff. It really just shows how how callous that character is. I think they did a great job with that, but also I think it's smart that Yelena was the one to figure out why they were all there. I think that did service to that character. They made her the smart one in that situation to put those connect those dots. So Valentina still at the charity event remotely activates the incinerator sequence because Mel won't do it. Yelena, Walker, Ava, and Bob have just 2 minutes to escape or be burned alive. They manage to disable a sonic barrier that had preventing ghosts from phasing through the walls. She slips through and in a moment of character growth returns to help the others escape. They make it out just before the explosion, but the blast knocks them unconscious. In the aftermath, Yelena experiences a haunting dream, a twisted memory from her Red Room training where she was ordered to betray a friend. Strangely, Bob appears in this dream and the shock jolts her awake. She realizes she had been holding Bob's hand. Great foreshadowing. I thought this was a great foreshadowing moment. I thought they did just enough to have us question. I think everyone was able to kind of put those dots together. And when we get the John moment later, I think that's what really kind of hits home as to what's kind of going on here. But yeah, I guess the idea is just to lure a friend into a trap. You believe that's the training here? Lure someone who cares about you, who trusts you into a trap? Is that the lesson?
Yeah, basically, right. That's the whole idea behind these Red Room assassins, right? They're to infiltrate someplace, get the trust of somebody, and then you're supposed to go in there and basically wreck shit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a basic mission, right? Oh yeah, just tell your friend to come outside and meet us out here, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if you
part
can
of all
how
the
fast,
Red Room indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fitting and it's messed up. Think about that as a child, right? Oh, good job bringing her out here. Pow!
Yeah.
All right, do it again.
Yeah. And then, does it stand as a metaphor for everybody you choose to bring close? Are you bringing them close to this world and thus endangering them from being killed? That's another reason why she might distance herself from people.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. Everybody she's already close to has died too. Even people that she didn't want to die, where it wasn't her mission, right? Her sister, her mom is God knows where right now, and everybody she's cared about. I wish there would have been more emotion when she saw Taskmaster get shot in the face. You would think like, oh shit, that's like my sister.
Yeah.
But she was kind of like, eh.
I think she said it best though. Look, we kill and we end up killed. That's there's this line of work, and it's very sad. Like that was one of the saddest lines in the whole movie. Like that's what I'm destined to be, just a dead body, because that's what I do.
I think it's important to bring up that because I think I felt the same way at the time too. Like, even when they saw each other, right? Like she was like, "Oh, you're not my mission" or whatever. I think I'm more disappointed in her reaction to seeing her than her reaction to her death. Because to me, her reaction to her death is like a depressing shutting down. This is what this is, like compartmentalizing it of like, this is what this life leads to. Like, and one day it's going to be me on, like I will have stepped to the wrong person. It could have been her 8 times with Walker in this room at any point, like she just would have been a killer who got killed. And I don't think it's right for her to compartmentalize it in that moment, but as she will tell Bob later on, that's what you do with those feelings, right? You push them down. You push them down deep. So elsewhere, Mel informs Valentina that the mercenaries escaped and are now working together. That was a very humorous scene where she's like, what if I told you that they have escaped and they're working together? She's like, those idiots? Like, what kind of... That'll never happen. She's like, well, they've escaped and they're now working together. um, Val stunts to hear they have someone else with them because she has no idea who that is, and she immediately orders a full strike team to the location to wipe them out. Unbeknownst to her, her limo driver Alexi overhears everything. His daughter may be in danger. At the hideout, Ava and Walker press Bob for answers. How did he get there? Who is he? But Bob can't remember anything before waking up inside the facility. Walker, frustrated, accuses him of lying, but Yelena steps in. She believes him. The two connect over shared experiences with depression and the emptiness it leaves behind. Even if they can't trust Bob's memory, they'll find a way out together. Later, Mel secretly calls Bucky, warning him that Valentina is planning something dangerous. She tells him to trace her phone and abruptly hangs up, leaving Bucky to decide whether to act as Congressman Barnes or the Winter Soldier. I think he gets his nice shiny old arm and it's like, oh, it's time to go hunting. But
fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I believe the director behind this, or one of the writers behind this, was behind the Beef show on Netflix.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Stephen Young, whatever. And I heard that's the main reason why he was kind of cast Stephen Young to play Sentry. That and then play off a joke.
The director directed it, and Stephen Young was in it.
Yeah. I think that's why at one point they're like, "You're invincible" to Sentry, which would have been a cool little, callback. But like this scene here with Bob, like solidifies. Like I really like Louis Pullman in this role as Bob. I think he absolutely kills it, and like just him giggling as Walker's like, "We should like burn him alive," and he's like, "You're Captain America and you're an asshole." Like that. that was it. I mean, like he doesn't insult. Like besides saying that, like he's not outwardly assaulting or malicious. He's just kind of aloof, and that is a nature of the Sentry that I always found terrifying in the comics, is that sometimes he talks like a child. And you have to talk to him like a child because there's a void on the other side of that man. So there's a lot of like baby talk in this, or very careful talk. And they do this with Bob early on. So I like, and when towards the end, when they ask him about something and he has no clue, terrified. I'm like, that's not good. If someone check on that, because that's not good. It doesn't seem as open and shut as you think it is. But yeah, what do you guys think about this scene where Walker's kind of pressuring him, and Ava's even trying to get at him, and Yelena chooses to befriend him? I'll start with you, A-Rob.
I was hoping for like an unleash of just power, but no. It was interesting to see their banter and dynamics between one another, and they're approaching this new outlier of an element to this situation that's already fucked for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting to see them play off one another. But with just his introduction, I was fearful because at first I was like, okay, Taskmaster's gone. Now Sentry's here. Who's going next? Is Yelena? Like she's more than likely, like she has no powers.
Right.
What's about to go down here?
Yeah. What do you think, Asa?
I don't even really remember the scene, if I'm being honest. I remember him calling him an asshole.
Yeah.
After they escape. I thought that was really funny. But I mean, so far where we've seen John Walker, he's just very aggressive.
Yes.
More so than we saw him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But it kind of feels like it's on brand, especially as you come to find out what everything he's going through, and like how his life is going, why he's angry at the world.
Yeah, there's definitely a chip on his shoulder. I think he does perceive that he is not respected. I think even when he first, before they escaped that incinerator room, like it's like, I'm a decorated soldier. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's like,
I just remember something.
I'm a decorated soldier. And all
I was Captain America. For like a second.
That chip on the shoulder is real because the super soldier serum, it amplifies what's already inside of you. So being the second string Captain America and already having to prove yourself to this massive bar and mantle.
There's a super chip on his shoulder.
Like that explains why he's so aggressive, and he's just putting everything into every move that he does, and it's like a kill move. Like, dude, you're an asshole. You're supposed to be Captain America. You were Captain America. Like, what?
Yeah, we know from that show that he does feel inadequate in that role, but we also know from that show that when push comes to shove, he does save people, because that's how that series ended, with him saving people. So he has saved people in the past as a regular soldier. So it's both of these halves of Walker that he has to kind of contend with. and I think he's just I think he's what is that called? Like jockeying for the leader of this team.
Yeah.
I think he's like
Yeah.
trying to like angle and like if I could get the answers and if I can put up a plan, if I could do all this kind of stuff, then I am I'm the captain of this team, kind of
Right.
stuff. And I don't think it's necessarily working. What do you think about that whole scene, Cog?
No, I really enjoyed it. I liked how it showed how dangerous Sentry is without being Sentry.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he can sit there and just cause dissension amongst the team. And you almost, I felt Lewis Pullman played that well because to me it felt like okay, he's being Bob, but there's the void is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you find out some of the backstory of this version of the Sentry later, but this is a person who probably has that in him that wants to see everything fall apart, right? This is a person with a sketchy background. He comes from a tough life. So pardon me if I'm maybe speaking out of turn or being judgmental in this, but sometimes I find that people like that like seeing things fall apart, like seeing
Oh
dissension.
yeah,
Because they're
misery
like, oh,
loves
my life,
company. I think that's fair.
right, my life sucks. I'm gonna make your life suck. So
Mm-hmm.
in that moment when everything's coming at him, I could totally see him just being like, yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna just mess with people's minds. But then the one person who he's already got a connection with, Yelena, brings him back. Like, no, hey, chill out. Let's talk about this. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be this way. You have a purpose here, so let's continue to take care of you and bring you into the fold. Because if not, I really felt like it could have gotten very much worse for Walker.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You actually fleshed it out a lot better than I did because I forgot a huge chunk of that scene is this idea that Bob's like, yeah, just leave me here. No one really cares about me. You could just,
Right.
it's all right. I'll just mess things up. And Yelena instantly understands what that emotion is. And that's why she zeroes in on defending him because she realizes that he's giving up in this
Right.
moment. And it's the casual nature in which he's doing so that presents the idea that he believes that this is an option. Like it should never be an option to just be like, yeah, you just go without me, let me die here, and it is what it is. But it's the beginning of that, and it's not, later on, it's not like these jagged, stabbing black, jolts of lightning coming out of him. Depression is a cloud, and it comes over him at various points in this, a dark cloud over him, over the scene, around people. And I think that speaks to like the true nature of depression, how it kind of leaks in, how it kind of just can envelop a room without you even noticing it. So digging deeper, Mel discovers that Bob is the subject of Project Sentry, Ox's covert program to create a superhuman weapon. Realizing just how dangerous he is, Valentina orders Bob's immediate termination, lumping him in with the rest of the liabilities. Back at the facility, the group locates a non-functional elevator and begins climbing it, but at the top, they're met by Val's heavily armed task force. Also, we should mention that the moment that Walker makes contact with Bob, he experiences a sudden flash of his own traumatic family memories. Shaken, he snaps out of it and joins the others in formulating a plan. So like one of the things he says early on is like he has a happy family and they're, like he deserves to live because he's the only one that has,
Right.
something to go back
It's
to.
twisted.
But it's not. And again, like he has been so fundamentally shaken to his core by the public's rejection of him as Captain America that it has leaked into his family life, to the point that it's caused this division. This was a heartbreaking scene. This was rough to watch. The couple with the baby and all of it. And it kind of makes you look at Walker a different way because again,
Right.
he did a lot of this for his family. For like, what's the point of doing this if he loses his family? So that's a huge moment there. Unfortunately, Ghost vanishes again, but Yelena, Walker, and Bob, revealed to be, Bob Reynolds, push forward. Yelena triggers an explosion to divert enemy forces, and while she and Reynolds attempt to restore power, the lights fail to return. U.S. agent finds off the wave alone. Kind of badass. Like everyone failed
pretty
him.
badass.
And then
I would
he's
like to
I'm
have
just
seen
gonna do
the fight
this.
scene.
Yeah. Again, like they just have this scene here where you feel the worst you do for him by seeing his family life. and then he's like, damn it, like all his whole plan's gone to shit. I got to do this by myself. And he got, I mean, you just hear a bunch of grunts and stuff like that, but he takes care of several soldiers on his own. I mean, he is a super soldier, but yeah, they give John a badass moment in his own right. The team regroups, disguises themselves in enemy uniforms, and escape in a waiting truck. Ghost inside. They flee, but Reynolds stays behind, sacrificing himself to ensure the others get away. He just like runs out of the back of the truck shooting a machine gun. I thought he would have got gunned down a lot quicker than when.
Well,
when
it's
they
really
decided.
sad when you think about it, because he was fully going to sacrifice himself.
Oh, he didn't know he
I
was
think
bulletproof.
he,
Yeah,
he had every intent to go out there and die. Like it's just the saddest part of that whole scene.
yeah.
It's kind of funny, but then you're like, oh, that's really fucking sad. Like,
And throughout, like this plan of like messing with the lights and taking down the operatives, he keeps saying like, you could just leave me, like I don't like I don't feel like I'm making this any easier. And Yelena basically promises him that they won't. That's why they put him in the back of the truck. Things got difficult, but they did find a way to get him in that truck. They wanted to take him with them, but my man gets gunned down in pretty horrific fashion. Where are we at? Oh, yep. As they drive off, they see Reynolds, wounded by ox gunfire, launch into the sky. he just flies directly into the sky. His impact creates a shockwave that flips their vehicles off the road, and then he crashes back down and causes quite a destruction. It allows them to get away, but it's because they crash off of the side of the hill or whatever. Yeah. And I just love. I think Julia, or is it Julie?
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus should get a lot of credit because she really sells fuck really well. She sells like fuck, like this is look at that, what are we gonna do? At one point she takes down the main guy, the main operative guy.
Yeah.
She like chops him in the throat and takes his gun or whatever the hell, because he's like doing lethal fire or whatever, or shooting on, and she didn't want him shot, and they start gunning him down, and she like chops him in the throat and takes the thing. It's like she sees fire. So she got some Wing Chun stuff we haven't seen from her.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait till she starts flipping around like Yoda. CGI Valentina flipping around like Yoda.
So I know from the comics she's like a Nick Fury-esque character.
Yes.
Do you think this version of her is kind of a lot of the same?
Oh yeah. She's
I mean, I guess more spy or less spy, more politician. But
I'll say this
same.
real quick, because I know these other two gentlemen have a lot more comic knowledge on him. But I will tell you this fun fact: I believe that she sleeps with Nick Fury in the comics.
At one point, yes, they did date.
So I don't know what Skrull life expectancy is, but that might still be on the table. I just want to put that out there. But yeah, gentlemen, if you want to tell him about Madam Hydra, yeah.
So early on in Nick's history, as far as in the 616 universe, these two date, and there's a beautifully drawn a scene where drawn by, oh my god, I recently had the pleasure of meeting this man. Help me.
The Secret Wars?
Nope. This was not Secret Wars. This was old Nick Fury. This is Jim Steranko. My apologies. I got to meet him at New York Comic Con last year. Awesome. Guy's one of the prolific cover artists and artists of Marvel during that time, from like the 70s, 80s. If you've seen some of the covers he's done, how prolific they are. And one of the issues he drew with Nick Fury and Contessa is they obviously hook up. And at the time, the comics code is like, no, you can't insinuate the sex by showing. Originally he wanted to show a phone off the hook, and they were like, no, we all at the time, like everybody knew what that meant at the time. So instead he changed it to, well, I'm gonna show a gun in a holster. Oh, okay, that's fine. It's like, oh, I can get away with that, but not this. And it's such a great drawn scene. The Contessa, was shown to be just as
I put
manipulative,
the image of that panel in
and
the group chat just for reference.
right, and manipulative, and having these leadership qualities as Nick Fury. So yeah, I was really really fun seeing her in
Yeah,
this. Like, I never once did I feel like, oh, she's a bitch or whatever. I'm like, no, this is a woman in charge. I like this. I like
Yeah.
seeing I
right.
like seeing a
Yeah.
character like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, this was so great to see her portrayed this way and have this control over these scenes. I think they Marvel here did it fantastically with this character.
Do you think, A-Rob, that they're laying the groundwork for a Madam Hydra reveal? Would you be upset if they never reveal that she has ties to Hydra?
I would be highly upset because like this character has such a rich history. Like it would make sense for them to go that way. Like they have to. Like Hydra has to come back. Hydra never is just gone. Like they have to, like with the little bit of groundwork that she's been in Wakanda Forever, Brave New World, like this, like they have to. This
Yeah,
the only
Red Skull's
way.
a bit of a quitter in this universe, huh? He like loses once and
Right?
then he never comes back.
Well, he fell into space,
Yeah, that's true.
which doesn't really make sense, but
Then he
whatever.
became a space
Like,
bouncer for the Soul
yeah,
Stone or whatever. Hey, show me your ID. I can't get it. I'm sorry, A-Rob, continue.
No, like there's no more Hydra. Like Baron Zemo is Zemo. Strucker's dead. Hive got killed off in Ages of Shield. Red Skull is somewhere. Not Zemo. Zola's,
he's
backed up
dead.
computer somewhere, maybe, or he's
Yeah,
dead.
He
So it's like, where's the Hydra? Where's the Hydra of it all?
yeah, yeah.
Well, I
Because
like to
like
think
that,
that all the Nazis are dead. Let's just leave it there, and
I
let's
want to
move
think. I
on
want to
from
think
that.
Zola
I would love
is
to believe that too.
I think Zola's in the coding of X currently. I think that Zola has survived and it's found itself embedded in X and is making sure that the Führer is quite happy with the results of what goes down on that platform. But yeah, I think there's still time to do that, but I also wonder what they are gonna set up, if anything at all, because it seems like this universe may not last in the next 3 movies. So, like, what are they setting
Right.
up, if that, for all of this to come crashing down? But
Well, with Hydra, I would love to see them make a comeback, because what is the mantra of Hydra? Cut off the head, and two take
Two
its
more
place.
take its place.
yeah,
So I mean, it's out there. I'm convinced Hydra is still out there. They could always bring it back so easily.
Well, I think you have Sharon Carter as the power broker. That would be a really fun way to bring her in, especially if her and Zor and Zemo are kind of not really together, but two parts of the same power structure.
God, that still hasn't come back around.
No,
That still
I
hasn't
don't
come
think it
back
will,
around.
if we're being honest. But
My
that's
gosh.
just
Nah, she'll probably give. I think she'll power broke the hood to that Spanish dude. I don't think he just.
I'm like,
I don't think he just gets
Power
it.
Broker. If Power Broker were to come back, it would have been in this movie or Brave New World. So like, I don't think we're gonna see Sharon Carter again.
You
Doesn't-
never
For a hot
know. You
minute.
never know.
I'm telling you, she's gonna have a fire sale and she's gonna give the hood to that Spanish dude in Ironheart, and then he's gonna become the hood. That's how he gets it. He's gonna buy it off the.
And
the power broker. So, Yelena, U.S. agent, and Ghost continue their escape on foot from stolen Ox files. They also confirm what Mel suspected. Bob Reynolds is part of Project Sentry. Crossing the desert, the trio reflect on their past. Ghost talks with Yelena about Taskmaster, and that's when she says the whole, she was a killer who got killed. U.S. agent shares details about his troubled family life. As dawn breaks, a limo rolls up, driven by Red Guardian. Just in time, Yelena's father arrives to pull them out of Valentina's latest trap. As they drive off, Red Guardian gives his stamp of approval to Belova's new crew, convinced that they're finally acting like a team. U.S. agent sarcastically responds with "Go Thunderbolts," which Red Guardian hilariously misreads as Yelena naming them after her old soccer team, and he is having a blast with this. You think you named them after the soccer team? He's so happy. They're arguing
poop
over
on the
who
field.
sponsored it. Yeah, they're arguing over who sponsored it. They're talking about the lady who
Right.
pooped on the field.
a girl did a poop on the field.
which is funny because like in the last movie it was all about peeing on her leg or peeing on his own leg, whatever,
Yeah.
because of frostbite.
Peeing on his hands. His dad had to pee on his hands with frostbites.
That's what it was. It's always disgusting stories from him. I know his suit, which we can see on Cog's picture there, is different than before. But what I like about it is the brown pieces look like patches. It looks like, because we know that the other one was snug, is the word I'm going to use.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I feel like he's made some big and tall alterations to this suit with like extra stuff, but I like that it's patchwork. It's not perfect and it's not, like his colors used to be red and white. And now they're almost like a muted burgundy and brown because, like he's kind of faded. So I like how his whole outfit is. I like the cut hair, might as well, with what he had going on. I like this new look. And like everyone needs a man like this on the team because he has so much enthusiasm for everything that they're doing here. And he smells like an Avengers like team because they're like, yeah, we should separate. He's like, no. He's like, we should split up. It'd be a lot faster. He's like, no, we can't split up. This team needs to be together for Yelena because I do believe that he thinks that this is the best thing for her, but also selfishly a little bit if they got room for him to. So I thought that was pretty funny.
No, yeah. I mean, I just love this whole interaction. The way Yelena's just absolutely embarrassed by this dude, and she's like, "No, why is he driving here? Like, no,
like, oh my god."
And the other two are just like, "Well, what is this? Is that a limo driving towards us?" No.
At one point, he like
just
flips
does
a
not make
switch.
sense.
At one point, he flips a switch and Pony starts to play and disco lights come on in the background. Like, who are you
so
driving?
many people in the theater laughed when that happened because that was just no one was expecting that.
Yeah, they're like, who would you be driving? That you
who do you drive?
Yeah,
don't drink out of the big gulp.
Yeah. Because he drove straight there.
It was a long drive.
Yeah, he drove straight there. But no, not even he drove straight there. He went back, got his suit and his limo, and drove straight there.
Nah. He keeps the suit. The suit is always in the limo just in case.
I believe it.
Remember, part of the promotional material for this movie is Marvel had him make these fake commercials.
Yeah.
We shared it. We shared it on the Facebook. You can see it. And in it, he save you from a boring evening. So you can imagine he keeps that thing in the trunk like a boring evening.
I would
Guardian will save the nights.
Yes, I would put on suits.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
but yeah, like there's even like this little bit of like fathers living vicariously through their children kind of thing, right? Like seeing her become part of the team and all this other kind of stuff. So he just showed up to like parent teacher conference and got to see his child's friends for the first time. And it's like, oh, these are your little friends that you're hanging out with.
Yeah, we're not friends.
Yeah. That's what they keep saying. Right? Making a point to say that. Before they can settle anything, a convoy rolls up and opens fire. U.S. agent blocks the bullets with his shield, while Red Guardian and Ghost try fighting back but get nowhere. Belova is about to return fire when the Winter Soldier suddenly shows up and tears through the Ox vehicles like it's nothing. The group barely has time to breathe, let alone celebrate, before Bucky launches a disc grenade at the limo, sending it flipping into chaos. I
didn't see that coming. Most badass scenes in the MCU. Bucky was aura farming like crazy. Like, yo.
Yeah. I give you that.
I forget the movie, but I'm like, it's giving Tom Cruise. It's giving just badassness. It's giving Terminator with the shotgun flip. I'm like, yo, Bucky, you're trying to get the business tonight.
I was gonna say he didn't have to go so hard, but I don't think there's anyone there he knows. He knows Walker.
No, he has no
don't give a fuck about Walker.
Yeah, he don't like Walker.
Hell no. So yeah, no, it made perfect sense the way he took it out because I'm sitting there going, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense for him to not want to detonate them because they're part of the issue here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was great the way he just comes in, takes it out, and I love the fact that when Alexei sees him, he's like, the Winter Soldier.
Yes, like the Winter Soldier.
Straight fanboy.
Yeah, right. Like exactly. I read the stories of him. And the Baba Yaga were my heroes.
Yeah. 100%. Alexi was hilarious in this because this is when they get shot at, and he's like, "Don't worry, it's bulletproof," and then the glass shatters, and he's like, "It's bulletproof-ish."
Didn't he say like bulletproof-ish? It's
Yeah,
bulletproof-ish.
it's bulletproof-ish. And
I'm
then
like,
like
all cars are bulletproof-ish.
yeah, they have all this tech and they can't seem to get anything done. So he just does
A Molotov cocktail.
yeah, a Molotov cocktail.
He's like, give me the vodka. No,
Yeah.
the good one.
Yeah. And they're like, don't drink and drive. And he's like, no, I got this. So I like that. And then, yeah, they do the kind of trope where Yelena shoots all bullet, but the whole thing explodes. And like, what the hell's going on here? And
Yeah.
Right.
I like how she was clearly shocked. Like, what did I do? Like,
but yeah, you say Terminator vibes, but it's almost OG Winter Soldier vibes.
It was
right?
Winter
'Cause he was
Soldier,
very,
yeah.
very similar, how he used to track down people back in the day.
Right. Who the hell is Bucky?
Yeah, this movie has a lot to say about people going back to what they know, regardless whether if it's something good or something bad. Meanwhile, Val, having moved Bob from the secret facility to the Avengers Tower, gives him some motivation, revealing that she knew he was a troubled man with mental health and drug issues who signed up for Project Sentry in order to become something greater than he was. She nurtures his paranoia and declares that he can be the greatest hero of all, before walking away and demanding Mel create a kill switch in case he goes rogue. So as soon as she walks out of that, as soon as the curtain flaps behind her, she's like, yeah, we need to find a way to kill that man. We need to make sure that he can be killed. But what do you guys think of like this insidious nature of bigging him up here and, knowing that he has almost a fractured mind? She could have found out this information about him being a hero and found some other way to deal with it, but she's still going full bore on, even with all the red flags of showing this man to be her government-sponsored hero. I'm gonna start with you, Asa.
what was the saying she said?
Righteousness without power is
It's just an opinion or something
yes,
like
yes,
that.
yes.
Like, I think that shows how what she's truly capable of. So just kind of seeing he made her kind of relive probably her worst trauma. And then just seeing that, and then seeing that she maintained her composure so well. One, let me know, oh, she's a super badass. Two, she's an amazing politician. Like, just to be able to see that and then go like, oh, okay, well, I'm still gonna go. I just need a second, and
still had a
I
poker
thought-
face.
yeah, like everything, almost like it didn't even really bother her, like more than a second.
Mhm.
You kind of feel for Mel in these moments because like she's kind of getting drug into really the worst possible,
There's a lot of
situation.
murder in this 24-hour period. She has been asked to murder a lot of people.
Several people.
Yes.
But just to see the level of fear that Sentry actually gave her was pretty interesting. And hey, he might be invincible, but we got to find a way to beat him just in case.
Right. And on that note, like she was definitely on her Cecil from Invincible. Like she is taking the world in these situations as is and preparing for the worst for them. Because like you can either save the world or you can be the good guy. You can't be both. And I think she understands that perfectly, especially dealing with someone like the Sentry, having all this power, and they were drug addicted and they have mental health issues. Yeah, no. Create a kill switch just in case something goes sideways.
No, I
It's
dig
messed
it.
up,
I dig
but
it.
like it's practical.
100%. Cog, how much of a piece of trash is she for dealing with a drug addict with mental health issues and kind of I don't know, like propping him up, blowing him up, gassing him up?
Why not? Why not? Right? It's established that much like Nick Fury, she's willing to get the job done. So, I mean, Nick Fury built the team with a guy who irradiated himself and turned himself into a green monster, with a guy he found in the ice, an egomaniac who made himself an Iron Man suit,
And he's an alcoholic when he finds him.
and he's an alcoholic. But he uses a Soviet spy.
Yeah.
So the idea that she knows I have this ultra powerful person at her disposal, and then quickly realizes, okay, this is a problem, but I have a solution to this problem. We'll just throw a kill switch in his head. This is exactly kind of like the comics, right? That the Avengers and the rest of the Marvel Universe knew they were dealing with a massive problem with the Sentry, but they also knew they really couldn't get rid of it. And at the same time, you like having this person with the power of a million exploding suns in
Yeah.
your back pocket, just in case. So
Right.
it falls perfectly into her personality that she would just allow for this person to be a part of the team, to be her her pawn, so to speak, right? Because we saw in that flashback that she just has why she is driven to the point that she's driven, right? She's had her world shattered.
Yeah.
She's someone that has that fear of someone else coming in and taking control of the situation. Here's her chance to take complete control, where you have this hero that is seemingly unstoppable.
Yeah.
So why not?
I like that we got the flashback, but there is no like woe is me moment. There is no like, violence pulled out on like, oh, I really get Valentina. I'm totally on her side. It's just like that. Well, I could see how that would get her where she's at. But at no point are you're like really meant to. I don't think this film wants you to necessarily sympathize with her. But I did find it funny that once that happened, she got back up and she took the sentry thing off the table. Because she like came in and put it on the table. And then she's like bigging up him or whatever. And he sees her pick it up. And then he's like, I can control it. Like I'll do whatever I'm told or whatever like that. And I think, that put something in her mind. But yeah, instantly she can see how bad this is gonna get. So I dig the kill switch element. With our mercenaries restrained, Bucky tells the captured group he plans to have them testify in the impeachment trial against Valentina. When he learns about Bob and hears from Valentina's assistant Mel about the dangers she believed the Sentry poses to New York and the world, he changes course. He urges the team to help him stop Valentina and rescue Bob. Yelena pushes back, saying they're not heroes, just the wrong people for the job, but Bucky reminds them that he had to learn the hard way. The only way to make up for the past is to keep choosing to do the right thing. Inspired, the team agrees and heads to New York. Quick little scene, but it made funny by the fact that they kept trying to tell him about Bob, and he didn't understand, and he wouldn't listen.
Bob!
And then that's the first thing that Mel says, and when he says it out of his mouth and looks over at them, and they're all like, I thought that was great.
But even during that whole time, though, I love the fact that Alexei, even bound, is still just fanboying over Winter Soldier. Just like, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Look what he's done.
And when they finally do become a group, Alexi's just yelling at the top of his lungs. They had to cut from that scene to something else because he's just yelling.
But this is also the scene where we find out that John Walker's family has left him.
Right.
Where it was
Crazy.
presumed, but we find out officially that like he's officially alone.
Yeah, and we were the only ones we and them were the only ones that saw what happened when he touched Sentry. So everybody else right now believes what he said, which is that he has a happy family to come home to. Bucky lays it right out. And I love that Bucky's would say that because Bucky knows the most about probably what happened to Walker after all of that stuff from Falcon and Winter Soldier. I like their familiarity too. I think there is more on the cutting room floor in regards to Alexei and Bucky. And maybe that gets explored in the next thing, because of course you would have like that sort of fanboy thing. It's said offhandedly with Bucky when they're talking about the Battle of New York, and Mel's like a child, and he's like, "Yeah, I was 90 or whatever the hell." Like we forget a lot of the times that Bucky is ancient. He's freaking ancient, and that Alexei's been around for some time too, and they are, along with Yelena, like pretty powerful Russian agents. Like they all have that in common, so I think that's pretty cool that they're all on the same team.
No, but there's an episode of the Marvel What If series where you get to see Bucky and the Winter Soldier, Winter Soldier and Red Guardian have a what if moment. It's pretty fun. It's worth the watch.
I forgot
Right.
about
A
that.
little bit of a buddy cop episode.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they crash through the under construction watchtower and fight their way through Ox. I like that the watchtower is under construction. This actually what happens with wait, hold on. This is actually what happens with Avengers Tower, where it becomes a Sentry Watchtower. That's a comic thing. But before this even happens, as they're driving, this is when he says the whole thing of like, what kind of super soldier serum you get? Like, I don't know, original recipe, Hydra? He's like, oh, yes, Soviet Union or whatever the heck.
Even right before, just like when he's like, so what is your master plan, Winter Soldier? And he's just like,
Plan?
I'm just gonna drive into the goddamn building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think these moments, even the one before, are meant to kind of show that Bucky would be an absolutely amazing addition to this team, but not necessarily the leader.
Yeah, he's not a leader you want.
Right.
Yeah, I think his like I think he's an incredibly efficient soldier, but I think even he realizes at several points in here, like I think that's why Yelena is front and center. I think with his history in the MCU, it would have made sense to have Bucky at the head of this team, but I think putting Yelena front and center and having Bucky almost be like her right hand hitter, I think is it's a really cool dynamic there as well.
I like how at the end, spoiler, like there's no like de facto leader. Like they both stand side by side one another.
Yeah,
Like kind of like reminiscent to how Steve was with Natasha in the Age of Ultron. Like they like Steve was or like Steve and Tony. Like, oh, I'll just pay for everything, make everyone look cool. He calls the shots though.
yeah.
But they're both leaders in
I would
their
like.
own different ways.
I know that Natasha has some sort of recognition with Bucky from some other time. They mentioned that in like Civil War. I wonder if
He
any
shot
of
through
that's
her.
gonna come around. Oh yeah,
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 he
yeah.
shot through and killed the scientist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I wonder if Yelena doesn't seem to be impressed very much by Bucky or anything he's about, but I would assume that she would have heard things and heard legends. So there's some level
Yeah.
of respect there.
Yeah, but this movie also feels like a Yelena movie. It feels
Yes,
like a
I would
Yelena
agree.
movie with a bunch of really, really important supporting cast, but definitely feels like Yelena is the star.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, most definitely.
I think we almost get like a cool 3-act structure with Black Widow, the little bit of her we get in Hawkeye, and then this. They would kind of get a fully fleshed character with all three of these. This adds a third dimension to that character. She was kind of a little bit of the comic relief in Black Widow. Now she's like full circle around. She can do the comic relief stuff, but she can also do the heartbreaking stuff, as we'll get to in a bit. But I love that they break in, they're beating people up, and Valentina gets on the intercom and is like, "Hey, hey, hey!" Like,
I left
I
the
left
doors
the door
open.
open. Like, what are you guys doing? And
Yeah,
like,
I
Alexi
just
has
put the
somebody,
drywall in.
Alexi has somebody like in a headlock or something like that.
Yeah.
And Bucky headbutts the hell out of that guy.
Yeah, Bucky's
That
like,
poor
That
guy.
was rude.
What do I
That
do?
was rude as hell.
He was already halfway through. He's like, I might as well just follow through here.
He was that guy's favorite. That guy's gonna get some nice workers' comp now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
And
I like how
it's government stuff too, so it's gonna be good.
I like that they have no tact. They have no they have no shine or polish. They just crash the building in there and start beating the hell out of people. Face to face, she reveals her endgame. She unveils Bob as the Sentry, Earth's mightiest hero, and she's going to use him to cement her power and avoid impeachment. We see Bob with his new blonde hair and his government official Sentry outfit, the Golden Guardian. It seems like he's really buying into everything that she's selling, and she kind of reveals that for his first PR stunt, he will murder everyone in the room because they are all bad guys. And she will just claim, "Oh my God, you won't imagine who came up here to try to kill me. It was like the Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier and the Black Widow and Ghost, and I had to kill them. And good thing I had Sentry around, the newest, latest and greatest thing to come to Avengers." So I like the plan. I think the plan is pretty solid. But what's even more solid is she orders Bob to take them down, and the Thunderbolts try, but they don't fare very well, and they are forced to retreat. Who wants to tackle this scene first?
That fight scene was leaked like fuck over the internet. Like before the movie even dropped in our country. Like I'm just like the Sentry versus the Thunderbolts, click, 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 click. It was everywhere. I was excited. I was scared for them. I was fearful for them.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I start having flashes from the comic books of him just ripping people apart and shit.
Yeah.
Just like, oh God. But it was really tame. It was a really good like character introduction for like the character, what he can do and the potential for what he can possibly do.
What do you think,
No,
Kyle?
I mean, exactly. I really thought a couple times he was going to do something a little bit more vicious.
Right.
When he turns Walker's shield into a freaking taco, I thought, okay, is he about to like snap this dude's arm in like 8 places?
Yeah.
And then even when he kicked, I thought they were gonna let Alexi take a beating when he kicks him through the fucking window.
Yeah.
But then he brings him
And he
back
brings
in.
him right back.
Which
Yeah.
Right? I thought he was gonna drop him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you're gonna take a beating. You're gonna break your legs in this scene. But he doesn't, and that kind of told me, okay, they're setting something up with Sentry here. They
Yeah.
don't want to
Right.
totally villainize him, but it was still very just in your face of the whole idea that this team has no business fighting this guy at all. But I did like when Winter Soldier here, he tried to get serious for a minute. He took off his shirt. He's like, okay, all right, I'm
Yeah.
getting serious now. I'm getting serious. And Sentry's just like, don't you know who the fuck I am? And he just takes his hand. I thought he crushed the hand. I thought the hand was just done. But then the fact that he puts it back on and it seems to be functioning again later on, I was like, holy crap! Like they had
Ooh,
no
thank God for
business doing
vibranium.
that.
You know what? You know what I really appreciate. Oh, go ahead, Asa. What do you think about this scene?
Oh no, it was the Bucky did his moves. He did the knife flip from from Winter Soldier.
Right.
and then
He whipped
then
out
did-
all of them.
Yeah, he did all of his moves. Even the one that puts the gun and shoots like from the side.
Yeah.
Nothing didn't matter. I just like how it was true. It was like when me and my kids wrestle. It's like, hey, you guys ain't gonna win this. Like we can wrestle all you want, but
To me,
we're just
there's
having fun.
there's a moment in this fight as it's kind of going on and the choreography is kind of working, and I'm just like, that's the Sentry. Like I'm watching a movie and the Sentry is just like bodying these people. Like I
Right?
had this moment, like I said, where like I kind of lost myself in this, and I was like, because he comes down and he doesn't look shot for shot like Comic Sentry. There's a little bit differences here and there. I like that the dye job is like a corporate mandate or whatever. I like that they talk about how the corporatization of this character, and even with all that, when he starts to move and he starts to do something so effortlessly, I'm like, the Sentry's here. Like we have the Sentry, holy hell. And another thing that I appreciate is, in most cases, everyone would yell and argue, why did he let them leave? If his task was to murder them all, murk them all, why would he let them leave? On second watch,
Right.
she says, kill them, follow them, kill them. And he says no. And then she says, why? And he goes, well, if I'm a god, why would I fight people that are beneath me? They surrendered. They pose me no threat.
They're no threat.
They're not a
Right.
threat.
And all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, what's going on here? Like the
Oh,
robot's
shit.
getting sentient or whatever. But yeah, that's almost like a kind thing to say, but it's out of ego, I guess. But again, she's like, whoa, calm down. You're using the God word, and he's like, you said I was more powerful than the Avengers, and last I checked, they had a god on their team. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'm basically a god. But outside of the building, wounded, exhausted, and broken, the group stumbles out of the building. They get into an argument, as they always do. Yelena ends up running away, and Alexei ends up following behind her. And this is when I became a child because, Yelena walks away and Alexei runs after her, and she says something along the lines of like, stay away from me or whatever. And he's like, no. She's like, well, then you're going to be chasing me forever. And he goes, well, that's what I'm going to do because that's what family does. And I was like, damn. I was like, damn, that's a hit. And I'm like, nah, but I got this. And then I'm watching it, and she does the whole, he go like, you weren't there. Why weren't you there? And he goes, I didn't think you wanted me. And she was like, I did. And I'm like, oh, that's another hit. I'm like, this is getting rough. And then it pulls all the way back around to him saying, when I see you, I don't see you mistakes. She like really dives deep into like, I'm not happy. Like I work and I drink and I'm not fulfilled, and like this very vulnerable, honest testimony from somebody going through depression and not knowing who to turn to and not knowing how to say they want or need somebody. She just assumed that Alexei would show up given the circumstances. I'm almost certain if she would have asked him to, he would have. But
Yeah.
how
Oh,
often
yeah.
how often at our depths do we not have the ability to reach out and say, damn, like I need, we're sometimes more disappointed people don't just assume than we are just reaching out and asking for that sort of help. I lost my dad about 10 years ago. So and we had a bit of a strained relationship. So this whole idea of like, him not being perfect, but me still wanting him around. Like I totally buy that. I totally get that from Yelena. Where he's like, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this, and I thought you didn't want me around. And she's like, well, I kind of did. Like I might have told you one thing, or you may have gotten a different idea from me, but that is what I wanted. All of this, I thought did a tremendous job. And then he basically reminds her, like, you wanted to be the team leader on the Thunderbolts, on the soccer team. You walked into the room, you lit up every room that you were in, and you led. You wanted to be team leader. You wanted to get everybody, on point and stuff like that, because you care about people. And that's who I see. And it's a reminder that we have to keep people around us that see the good in us, because oftentimes we look in the mirror and we don't. So I used to say all the time that even Superman needs to have his cape tugged and told, hey, you're Superman. He needs to be reminded on occasion. And this film goes to great lengths to show that the way we get out of these depths of despair, the way that we escape the void, is with people that care about us. It's not because you don't get out of the void by being perfect. That you can't be perfect. You don't get out of the void by never doing anything wrong. It's impossible. You get it by being honest, by being open, by being vulnerable, and letting others who have felt similar depths pull you out of it. And this is the beginning of that. I thought they did a tremendous job here. But I will relinquish the microphone to anyone else want to talk about this scene.
No, you hit it on the head. Because even once they get out of the building, one thing that hit me was the fact that like shit is hitting the fan in their world. They just fought the Sentry. They're maligned. They're sitting there like, yo, what the hell just happened? But what I love is because it's New York, and in this MCU world, New York, they really have dealt with some stuff.
Yeah, they're over it.
So them seeing a bunch of costume people leave a tall building, the New Yorkers are just walking around. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And these two have a real deep moment, but no one cares. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had those moments where you're like, you just need someone to talk to. You need someone to lean on, and you could be surrounded by people. No one gives a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's
then
how it feels.
That one person pulls you and is like, yo, no, you're important. You matter. And whether it's family or faux family, a good friend, that person just jogs you out of it. And it's usually a nasty conversation. It's usually a lot of tears and boogers and snots. But you need that, and that's exactly what happened here. And same thing. Cog. I mean,
man.
Yeah, I'm getting lost in myself here.
No,
this really like same thing. I was sitting there like because I lost my dad about 15 or so years ago myself, and there are times where I'm just like, shit, man, I really need to hear that man's voice.
Yeah.
And here she needed him. Even that she admits it. She's like, I went to your house looking for guidance because you're the only person I know. I call you dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was fantastic scene. And like you said from the beginning, this is definitely going to be one of those, 8 million views on YouTube scene.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
There's also a cool little thing that happens where when he's first running after her, I think he calls her something in Russian of affection, and she says something along the lines of like, I'm not that, like, don't call me that. And then when she fully like breaks down, she calls him daddy. Like there's no wall of invincibility or that anymore. She completely breaks down, and that's her dad in that moment. What do you think about that, Asa?
It was beautiful. Going into it, I'll get emotional, so I'm not gonna go too far into it. I thought it was again, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning of all this, how this movie is very focused on mental health. Just the level of just trying to, if you can, be there for your people, and if you're going through it, reach out to your people. Like that's kind of it, oh, that's it. I'll opt out.
Yeah, there you go. You good. Hey, Rob, any last?
I thought the scene was very touching, showing this level of vulnerability with these characters. Because like in this, like what Cox said, like this is the MCU New York. These characters have been through some shit. They've been through the trenches, and to see this level of vulnerability is good because not everyone's like infallible. People have hangups. People have things that drag them down. And it's important to talk about these things. Like, like it's important to reach out. It's important to like be transparent about what's going on in your life to get that help, to talk about it, to feel better about yourself. So you don't think about the past and how it brought you down, but look forward towards the future. Cause you are worth that. You are worthy of
Yeah.
being happy.
Yeah, that's a big reason why we have that as our slogan here at Comic Book Click. Because again, like I said with the Superman analogy, I think people need to be reminded. I think we make mistakes and we go down paths and bad things happen because they're unavoidable. And sometimes we forget that we're still worthy of patience and worthy of love and worthy of friendship and worthy of mercy. And we think that it's quick to feel like you said alone, even in the biggest city. I've been there. I lived in the biggest city, one of the biggest cities in North America, and still I had to move away because it didn't matter to me how many people were around it if they weren't the right people. So I totally get that. And like here I'm seeing this moment, and this meant more, again, like I said, than a million buildings being blown up or everyone having laser vision or the entire multiverse busting. I found more about this than when Barry Allen was running through the multiverse or whatever the hell was going on in the Flash. And we saw all that kind of stuff. It was like, when done well, this stuff resonates, and this is character growth. She's going to be a better person because of this. He's going to be a better person because of this. And now this, like, what, F tier character, if he gets got in Doomsday, I'm going to cry. If Alexi dies, if they kill my man Alexi, I'm going to cry. And now they just got stock in a character that was basically nobody before Black Widow. It's amazing. So like I said, Bob starts to click that he might be a god. So he turns on Valentina. Literally the Bane thing, like, this gives you power over me. Like, he walked up to her like, what do you think this is? So Mel activates a failsafe, incapacitating him. Metal as hell because I believe it blew up his brain or whatever. Like, what happened there?
Yeah, no, his brain definitely got fried because you saw it in his eyes. Like, there was definitely a nervous.
In his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was dark. Like, just the idea that you would do that to somebody that you're basically using as a weapon is super dark. But I don't think anyone watching this with even the semblance of comic book knowledge thought that was the end. If anything, it just signified that all this is going to go to shit because, eventually that unleashes the Void. They go upstairs to, like, and again, every time they talk about, like, this body disposal, it's all like this, like, coded as like, yes, that's some custodians upstairs to go deal with the mess or whatever like that. It's always like a very casual nature, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, there's no body upstairs. What do you mean there's no body upstairs? And they look, and the Void is there. And I will say, we've spent a lot of time on this podcast in general talking about character designs. This was a very clever, very low maintenance,
simple, but just, what's the word? It's simple, but
it's also almost obvious. Like, it's like, it's like, that's what that would be.
It's all that made sense.
Yeah.
Also, it was terrifying.
Yes.
Just a shadow with
two
eyes.
spots eyes that if I saw that in the middle of the night, I would thought like, oh, this is how I die. Fuck.
Cog, you're the comic OG. Does this pass the sniff test for character design?
Oh, I love it. I mean, because this was very much like the original Void design in when Sentry first showed up, and that whole Void, he was basically his shadow self. Or I've even seen some people refer to him as Dark Link.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
All his red eyes.
Which is so fitting. It's such a great classic design. It came across beautifully on screen. You just got this shadow self, and that shadow is just consuming everything around it, and it's the embodiment of the Void. That's what it is.
It was literally the perfect manifestation of depression.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like, I like that this isn't some kind of cackling villain. He's not yelling for world domination. He's very calm, very almost coldly, just resolute.
It was almost like a force of nature.
Yeah, because that's what the feeling is when you're overcome with it, and you just kind of fall into these depths. All of a sudden, darkness floods New York. New York. Citizens are trapped in twisted pocket dimensions shaped by their worst memories. The Thunderbolts do what they can to save lives, but it's not enough as more and more civilians end up trapped in this darkness. But what I do like, and this is like so low maintenance, bro. But I remember I think it was in Justice League, the film that, yeah, it wasn't great, but they had that scene where Flash is like, I don't know what to do, and Batman's like, save one person. Like, just go out there and save one person. And I felt like that this was the embodiment of that scene. You know, they were all went out of their way to save if it was one person, but by saving one person on screen, you just show how much the loss of life matters in this universe. You know, you're not trying to save a busload of people. You're trying to save one little girl, and you're willing to die to save that one little girl. It changed the dynamic of this entire team. Watching them, you know, put their necks out on the line for a handful of people being affected at the time when all this first starts. And I know when you guys watch this, the gasp in the air when that little girl got
That little girl.
got-
Oh my God.
Shout out to the director for that effect, because
Yes.
putting the Hiroshima shadow thing for people just getting snatched into the Tsukinomi that is the void.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
A Naruto reference to the MCU.
Basically, another thing.
Shadow
Basically, that's
Realm,
what
yeah.
happened, because I'm like, he was sending them to the Shadow Realm, but I'm like, oh, it's a Tsukinomi because this is their worst nightmares.
Yeah.
Bet.
Imagine all their gauges went to zero. Like, and then they would get zipped out into the Shadow Realm. And this is where I say again, they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want they want you to fear what Sentry is capable of, but they don't want him to do anything that's too like irreversible,
Not irreversible, yeah.
or
Well,
irredeemable, even to talk about superpowered people with their own sort of, you know, Superman kind of a pastiche. But yeah, I think this was their way of having the cake and eat it too. Because initially, I'm like, when the girl left, I said they can't be dead. I said there's no way they killed the little girl. There has to be. That's when my mind started to go. This has to be like some kind of something or other, you know, thing that took place. But yeah, I like that everyone had their own little moment saving people. We really got to see the team.
Yeah.
They just chewed each other out. They just cursed each other out like 10 minutes ago. And now they've come together to save people.
Nice.
Believing the only way to stop the void is from within, Yelena enters the darkness and confronts her own past as a Black Widow. I thought David Harbour killed it in this too. Like, watching Yelena, after everything she said, after everything that she believes, knowing that she may not know what's on the other side of this, that was super rough. She finds Bob hiding in the memory of his childhood home, haunted by abuse. The others join her, and together they revisit the origin of the Sentry, Bob volunteering for the experiment in Malaysia, desperate to change his life after falling into addiction. I love people were raising a lot of hay about the fact that we don't see other people's rooms in this.
Right.
But I think we know what would have been in them. I think we've spent enough time with these characters in the MCU.
Oh my God.
We can come to the
Bucky's
conclusion.
room.
Yeah.
Bucky's room would have been insane because he remembers everything that he did as the Winter Soldier. He just couldn't control it.
Yeah, he wasn't frozen.
Holy
He has
shit.
90 years of trauma. He didn't get a pause like Steve did. He didn't get a pause and then wake up. He's been dealing with decades and decades of murder and trauma. And I love that he's just like, oh yeah, I didn't have anything to worry about. I didn't have a troubling past.
Yeah, no,
at all.
that's great. That's fine.
No, in the interview that I saw that I mentioned earlier, they talked about the different people were complaining about this, and they said they did have something to add an idea to film for Bucky, but it wasn't like a Winter Soldier thing. It was like he had a bad experience as a Boy Scout, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that's dark.
Yeah.
I guess that's way darker than anything. Like, and then
Oh, wow.
Watch out, Barnes, you'll break your arm.
Yeah.
That's how you lose an arm.
And then it said that Ghosts was essentially her like just suffering inside an orphanage as a child as her powers are activating.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I wouldn't see those coming, but like I'm glad they don't go that dark because that would really toe the line for me. Like especially
I
We're
like
already
that.
embracing a lot of darkness.
I also like that they had like an actual factual like discussion. Like, should we go in there? I don't know. Did she go in there because of something? Maybe. Like they're all sitting there trying to debate the merits of going in this, and if they all die, then for what? Why did they all just run in there? But the blind faith in Yelena at this point. They spent the whole day together. Everybody's been hanging together, and I think people believe in her and her connection to Bob, and that's the reason why they go in. But it takes a lot of bravery to go in without knowing what's on the other side of that. So this team already has a level of trust that most won't. So then we see the Void. It's just a shadow Bob. He's just there, and they get into a fight, and Bob fights back, and then he starts to almost get enveloped by the Void. You start to see the Void take over. We start to realize that punching the Void is not something that's going to work. That's how you get swallowed up by it. And instantly, Yelena seemingly knows what to do, and she starts to run towards him. And I'm like, she better not. I'm already getting, because the Void and Bob are talking, and some dark things are being said about and him not being worth anything, and that the Void's never gonna go away. I'm always stuck with you, and why don't you just give up and all this other kind of stuff. And then Yelena runs up and hugs him and stops him from punching him, and I'm a mess. I'm done. I'm completely gone. I'm like, this is it. That they all run up and there's a group hug going on, and they pull Bob from the depths of the void.
Talking no jutsu.
Yeah, man. In a way that it didn't work for me in other situations where the villain was talked down, I think this worked for me because I even saw somebody like, wow, I can't believe that they created this ending for it. What a realistic way to beat depression. And I'm like, it is, because it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting way to beat depression, because you'll never win the war. These are all battles. Depression is a series of very small battles and being very smart about how you tackle them. So I did like how this went here. I think that this was more powerful than any other CGI third act, kaiju fight or anything like that. They remind him that he's not alone, and their support gives Bob the strength to overcome the Void. Light returns, the civilians are free, unharmed. With the threat neutralized, the Thunderbolts move to arrest Valentina, but in the time they took to regroup, she holds a press conference. You know how she's like, that is the 5D chess shit, right? Because she was initially holding the press conference to be like, Sentry killed all the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
And now on a whim, she's going to flip this whole thing around. And he spins the narrative and claims that she secretly assembled this team that she tries to kill. And that their defeat of the Void was their first official mission. And she rebrands them the new Avengers, without ever mentioning that the Void is that guy that's standing next to them that we illegally operated on and experimented on, and is a ticking time bomb, or a ticking time Bob.
Right. And I love the fact that Yelena walks up to her and whispers in her ear, like, we own you. Because all this dirt, you tried to kill us. He's actually the thing that we stopped. Mm-hmm. You're the one that put us in this situation. We're operatives for you. Like, you made us kill for, like, bruh. So much dirt.
That's why they got shiny new suits, because she's bankrolling now, and it is what it is. But I won't. Bob comes back or whatever, and then they're like, oh my god, that was crazy,
he's
right?
Clapping
he's like,
for him.
Yeah, he's like,
he's so happy for him.
He's like, what happened? And they're like, what do you mean? And he said earlier that he has memory issues, and here we are back where he doesn't remember what happened. That's also a comic thing, but it's mostly the universe not remembering that he exists. But I like how they kind of flipped it on its head here. Sentry to me has always been a boiling pot. Like, you never know when that's gonna, you never. So the idea that he is dormant, quote unquote, now, who knows what's gonna happen in Doomsday? Like, who knows what that's going to be? And I like that they kept him alive, and I like that is something that sticks around. And I like that they're so blatant about. Like, this scene here is very reminiscent of Dark Avengers, where they're all standing out there in front of the public to declare themselves this new government-sponsored team. So this is almost pulled right out of the comics, and I appreciate it. I think Valentina does a great job in place of Norman Osborn as this, they're lying through their damn teeth, but they're the only person with seemingly enough power to have this team defend the Earth. But before we get into the very big post-credit scenes, what do you guys want to say about this ending here? The defeat of the Void and the branding of the new Avengers. I'll start with you, Cog.
I thought it was so wonderfully anticlimactic.
Yeah.
You know, like
That
how
makes
you
sense.
talk no jitsu, where it's like, okay, there's nothing big and boisterous that happens. It's all very emotional and simple, so to speak. And then in a genius fashion, because I thought Julie Louis Dreyfus was at one point going to would die in this movie, but then her character progression made me very happy that she survives, and how quickly she just turns it into her favor. Like, oh, it's not the Century, it's the whole new Avengers, and this is great, and yay! I loved it. I loved the ending. I loved how curt it was. It was just a lot of fun. It made me go, when are we getting Thunderbolts? Oh, not Thunderbolts, but New Avengers Part 2.
Yeah.
When is that happening?
Yeah. A-Rob, what do you think of that ending?
Yeah, no, definitely. I was definitely feeling that energy of like, yo, when are we gonna see them next? Like, oh, what's the next big adventure about to happen again? But no, like, definitely Julie Louis Dreyfus's character, De Fontaine, sorry, like she definitely spun this in her favor. Like she definitely is shrewd politician, just spinning this in her favor in any way, shape, or form. Like this was a good reveal for another super team on the block for Doomsday. I really appreciated it. It was a really fun. It didn't need all the big explosions. You don't need all the big fan service. You just need to have a good story with those emotional beats that lead up to these kind of moments where you don't need all that. You just need to have the characters and themselves, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Asa, what did you think? This is a
Uh,
different third act than usual.
yeah, I thought the Cog and A-Rob really hit the nail on the head. So I'll just add my last little bit is I thought when you heard her whisper the "Now we own you," the
Mhm.
look of fear on Contessa's face was like she like almost like that's the one thing she hadn't thought about, and
Yeah.
then she realized as soon as she said it, well, like, almost like what have I done?
Yeah.
Like so I thought that
It's
was a really
it's
fun way to win. Like,
it's the look when you move the pieces on the chessboard and put yourself in check.
mhm.
And now you're like,
Bruh.
wait, wait a minute. Oh damn. How do I get out of this? I also think that they kind of highlighted what a third act would look like. There are a bunch of people who shoot, right? Like they kind of
Mhm.
made fun of the idea of the effectiveness of their team. So I think that that's a little bit funny there. And I think, like I said again, tinfoil hat theory. If they would have called this film The New Avengers initially, it would have been too big of expectations. I
Mhm.
think by
Oh
doing it
yeah.
by Thunderbolts and then turning them into the New Avengers, especially this week, I think you kind of are courting two fans who haven't seen this film to the theaters. You're courting the fans who were curious but don't know who the hell the Thunderbolts are. Oh, they're the New Avengers? Oh, I gotta go see that then. And you're courting the fans that are like the new Avengers. Who the hell do these guys think they are? Let me go find out. And so then you can actually get them.
The
So they,
Thunderbolts.
yeah, so you kind of get both of those fans on board. But I also long term theorize because besides the incredibly funny post credit of David Harbour as Red Guardian showing the cereal box or trying to get his cereal box bought, yeah, with the mustache, trying to get his cereal box bought at the supermarket, which again, fame and glory. I like all that. Um, we find out that the team is entangled in a legal battle because Sam Wilson is suing them for the trademark infringement, and it turns out that he's forming his own Avengers. So I think that very new Coke, old Coke. We are being given these new Avengers, so we can go, yeah, what is this? This is terrible. And then when Sam shows up with his Avengers, we're like, yeah, we're back on board. The MCU's back. I think they're on purpose. They're setting our expectations to create a tremendous outpour of adulation from the fan base when the actual Avengers show up. I've already seeing some of it. These guys are not the new Avengers. They're already doing it. Not my Avengers. So when Sam Wilson shows up, had they not done this, again, it would have just made Sam Wilson's Avengers have these big shoes to follow. A team that everyone beloved, Iron Man, Captain America, all that. But now they don't have to compare to those guys. They have to compare to the Thunderbolts. They just got to be better than the Thunderbolts. And I don't think that that's a hard job to do. But really quickly before we get out of here, who do you guys think might be on Sam's Avengers?
Oh, well, neither She-Hulk. Throw in Shang-Chi, throw in Shuri, throw in Joaquin's Falcon.
Yeah, I think Joaquin's definitely on board, Falcon.
Right?
Do you think
Like,
Thor's down for any of this?
Thor might come back.
I think
He
Thor
might come back.
hangs out until after Doomsday. I think Thor makes an
Right.
appearance in the sixth Avengers movie.
Yeah. What about Rhodey? No, Rhodey?
You see Rhodey, Ironheart. Well, if she's not on the Champions, Captain Marvel, maybe
Captain Marvel's
because
still
Sam
around,
knows who
yeah.
Spider-Man, he knows who Spider-Man. He doesn't know Peter, but I can see Peter.
You know,
being on
Sam
the
got
team.
Scott Lang's phone number.
Right? So Ant-Man,
Sure.
throwing all the bug themed heroes. So Wasp too, and Wong.
I forgot about
Because you need a magic guy.
Yeah,
It's not
Doctor
Shang-Chi.
Strange. It's Doctor Strange in the dark dimension right now. But you were saying
She'll be clear.
I think it'll be fun if we get some like bastard
variations.
variation of like Avengers versus X-Men, but we get like new Avengers versus old Avengers.
Yeah,
So
I
like
can see that.
to for Doomsday, just for them to like go up against a Doctor Doom level threat, because based off what I'm seeing, I don't think either team is ready for that.
That's also
I heard a
Even
rumor.
combined,
yeah.
no team's ready for that.
I heard a rumor about Doomsday that this man Doom is going to summon all the evil versions of the Avengers. So like Captain Hydra, like Maestro Hulk, Ragnarok Thor, like the cyborg version of him.
Cool.
Right?
They could also be following a very famous comic trope where they establish two teams or two characters, pit them against each other, and ultimately both of them end up joining up together to fight a bigger threat. So they could be setting up currently for this Avengers versus Avengers thing, and then ultimately everybody's gonna have to be on the same page because Doom is here and he's not playing around. But I love the idea of litigation about this. I love the idea of the pettiness of this. We posted
just in the Instagram, there's a trademark next to the Avengers logo.
we posted on our page. There's now a copyright symbol in front of both the Avengers on Instagram and on X. So that's quite funny. Because what do you do? Who owns this brand? Now we're getting into logistics. Now we're getting into copyright and stuff. Like, this is getting crazy. So I think that's really funny. Even funnier is Alexi's idea to how to get around it. Avengers with a Z.
Avengers.
He said that's how we get the wrong copyright. Avengers with a Z. But no one ends up going for it. Suddenly alarms blare. Satellite imagery reveals a spacecraft entering Earth's orbit with a giant number 4 on the hull, and we hear the Fantastic Four theme blur.
Fantastic Four.
Marvel's first family has finally arrived. And
Into the chat, y'all.
yeah, that was the end of the film, but yeah, man, that post-credit scene just speaks so much. I'm a bit slow. Now, I was told not to read the credits because it would spoil it for me. So I want to say first and foremost, I wasn't one of those people that was spoiled because I read that Fantastic Four music was credited in this film. I also want to say that apparently this scene was just filmed maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw it too.
The Russo brothers just directed and shot it.
Because the set was available, so the set's being used in Doomsday.
Yep, which means that symbol, the new Avengers symbol, is established, and that's how those characters will look in Doomsday, right, because they're probably filming other stuff for that film already. So yeah, it just feels, I'm getting the walk. I like these characters, but I'm getting the John Walker feeling of don't be in that building and don't wear that logo and don't I like you guys, but
right?
That just doesn't,
How dare you stand where he stood?
Yeah, but with the Fantastic Four, it feels like there's one of two things have happened. Either they have not defeated Galactus and they bounced out as quickly as they could, or they have defeated Galactus and something even worse has befallen their universe. But I can't wait to
Abraxas?
See yeah,
Abraxas?
They got Abraxas. But yeah,
Annihilus.
any
Annihilus.
I like Annihilus.
We're all dead. Annihilus.
They were.
The
They did
wildest
say.
is coming.
They did say there was some space stuff going on that they're not privy to. There's something going up there in space that they're not being allowed to know about.
So one thing I thought is it would be interesting is if this intro is not what's bringing them to the MCU. It's how they get their powers. Like breaking through the plane and going back, and then we don't get them back until Avengers 6. Like truly
wow.
back.
Okay.
Like I don't know, like a real as a main character back. That's
Yeah.
that's my prediction. That being said, I also predicted Red Hulk will be in this movie, so clearly I flubbed that up. So don't.
I was
count my
looking for
predictions.
Zemo. I was looking for Zemo. He didn't show up. I was looking though.
I was hoping for a lot of characters in this movie.
But me and A-Rob
I
covered.
was
Well, I was gonna say real
I
quick.
was
Me and
hoping
A-Rob covered Thunderbolts, and Mel was in it. Mel, Songbird.
He's Songbird.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
So
Well,
tied to
there's
the comics.
there's still talks that Mel could still turn into Songbird. To me, it's not quite the same character, but whatever.
Right.
I was hoping that Oxcorp was really Oscorp, and
Yeah.
we would get Norman Osborn somehow in this movie.
That would be
And have
amazing.
him. I mean, that connects so many other things. You know what I mean?
You know what's my like headcanon about that? I think of the Alexi line. Did they just change a couple letters so that it wasn't the same thing? Because guess what? If it was Oscorp, then the head of Oscorp was probably Norman Osborn, right? And Norman Osborn did lead the Dark Avengers. So it's like they took that story, put find and replace for Oscorp, and put Oxcorp, and find and replace for Norman Osborn, and put Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. But either way, I thought that this had a ton of implications. I like the movie as it is, and then they, with the bigotry of low expectations, then blew me out of the water with the post credit as to what they overall mean.
A post credit scene that actually is gonna lead somewhere, y'all.
Yeah, and I gotta check, but I think the rumor is this is the longest post credit in MCU history.
It is
at like 2.5
That would make
minutes, 3
sense.
minutes, or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, any last words on Thunderbolts, Asterisk / New Avengers?
Go see this fucking movie.
Go see it.
Go see
Hug
it.
your friends.
I'm definitely going to see it again.
Yeah, man.
Right, saying I'm definitely gonna see it again.
I call this this film Chicken Soup for the Soul. Like this just makes you feel good, deep down inside. And I think starting with people so flawed, and having them rise up. I think a lot of us are feeling that way currently at the moment. I mean, I think everyone's getting screwed money wise currently at the moment. I think all of us are a bit struggling, and maybe we're not where we want to be or where we think we should be. But I think that if we keep people around us who remind us how valuable that we are and that we are worthy, that's the way we truly get out of the void. But we know we got to stay out of the void because this ain't the only blockbuster film we'll be covering this year as part of the Major Issues podcast. Superman is around the corner. Fantastic Four, as previously stated, is around the corner. So you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to all things comic book click. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Major Issues podcast. But this is episode 381, which means there's 380 other episodes of the Major Issues podcast floating around, and you can find them all at comicbookclique.com. Not only is that the one-stop shop for everything Comic Book Clique, but we have new Thunderbolts merch that you can go ahead and check out. If you hit that Shop CBC link, it'll take you to our TeePublic store. Those shirts are designed exclusively by me, and we get a cutback of every single thing purchased. You can get my original designs on shirts, hoodies, phone cases, hats, and more. We have a West Chesapeake Valley Thunderbolt shirt, and we have a Red Guardian limo service protecting you from a boring evening shirt. So consider getting those and helping us out. But I also write articles for the website, so do many of us. It's where every episode of the Major Issues podcast lives. So yeah, if you want a consolidation of everything that we do, go to comicbookclique.com. We're also all over social media, facebook.com/comicbookclique, Instagram at comicbookclique, and use that hashtag comicbookclique to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We just hit 45,000 people. We're going strong. We're still marching forward. This is the hub of heroes. So we're just hoping that everybody finds us. But if you think you know somebody who needs to find us, who's reaching out, who's stuck in the void, our hands are outstretched. Just reach out for Comic Book Clique. And we will be there. If you want to help us out monetarily, like I said, consider purchasing something over at our TeePublic store. or you guys can give us money on Patreon. Patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse, where for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us afford the hardware and the software we need to provide you guys content free of charge. And speaking of that content, there's never been more of it. Stay tuned for the return of You Should Be Reading, but we currently have a new video series called 5 Fast Facts. We are currently putting more articles up more than ever, more videos up more than ever, doing more editorial on Facebook up more than ever. The conversations are happening and you're going to want to be a part of it. So get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full, because I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books, comic media, but I can't tell you how we do it. Something The Rock. I'm not even going to let him sully this review today. You need to take a nap, Dwayne. That's all I got to say. Smashing machine. Get out of here. Anyway, we share, just like we're a bunch of ragtag group of misfits just trying to do good. We share Comic Book Clique with the guys over at DirtSheet Radio, the industry leaders in all things professional wrestling and pop culture. John Escudero over there runs a tight ship of passionate fans who do the best to cover all the professional wrestling that they can. So go and check out Comic Book Clique. And when you're done on our side, go over to the Dirt Sheet Radio side and check out what those guys are doing, because they do everything as a labor of love and provide post shows for almost every professional wrestling company that's out there. So give those guys a follow, because those guys are great. Join us next week. We're going to start our Dark Avengers read through. I'm super psyched, because this kind of like leads right in, like literally right in to all that kind of stuff. Victoria Hand's in it. And she's doing her whole, like, she's a little bit Allegra De Fontaine from the MCU with the streak in her hair and stuff like that. So it's been really fun to read that book, but we'll be covering what could possibly be next for this team by following what happens in the comics with Dark Avengers. So consider doing that. Hey, Rob, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me anywhere. A-Rod the Marvel Guy. You find me over at Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. I post all types of Marvel content. They're on Twitch playing Marvel Snap, Marvel Rivals on the road to rank, y'all. It's rough. It's rough, man. But you can check me out, A-Rod the Marvel Guy or Mega Avenger 26, y'all.
There you go. And Ace, I believe we're doing a dual broadcast for the first time ever. Where can the people find you?
Well, right now you can on CBC on Twitch at CBC All Star Asa. I'm kind of doing that a little bit. I'm having some technical issues here and there, but I'll have it fixed for the next time we do it. And then you can find me on Threads at Asa H Griffith. See my political discourse, my football discourse, my nerd discourse. Just see me. Just follow me. It's fun.
And do you want to be found, Cog? Do you want the people to find you out there in the world? Yeah. Oh, besides the fact of you doing a wonderful weekly show here where you show the people each and every week what hauls you guys do. And if you want to see more of the Cog, we just dropped our May episode of Major Previews, where we look through the solicitations and pick the books that we think are going to be heavy hitters. But if they don't get enough of you there, where else can they find you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I believe I'm listed as Alexandario Gravitas, but mostly look for me on our CBC pages. I love talking about my weekly hauls. I want people to let's keep that conversation going about what we need to pick up every week. And of course, the conversation that you and I get to have every month, talking about what we need to be picking up for the following month. So
yeah, man.
Always look for those guys.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Like I said, we're putting out more content more than ever. I'm spending more time to raise this brand more than ever. We're going to be more successful than the new Avengers, hopefully, fingers crossed, but it's one step at a time. Get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full, but there's always room for you guys. So just make sure that you follow us wherever we're going. But my name is George Serrano, a.k.a. The Don.
And I'm Alex Garcia, a.k.a. The Cog.
And I'm A-Rod the Marvel God.
I'm All-Star Asa.
Hey, I love it. And this has been our Thunderbolts recap and review. And remember, whether you're a guardian, a soldier, an ancient, a god, a widow, a poser, or you just need a hug, remember that we are the Clique, and always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.